Recording in progress.
Okay, take over.
Good evening. Welcome to the April 8th, 2025 regular meeting of the Kent Memorial Library Commission. We'll start with roll call, and I'll just do myself first. I'm Christine Sinopoli. Corbin Azigare. Can we unmute Corbin?
Okay, sorry. Yes, I'm here.
Next, Michael Alexopoulos.
I'm here at the Senior Center.
Julie Bodner.
Yes, I'm here also at the Senior Center.
Ann Marachi.
Present.
Denise Booten.
Present.
Joe Craven. Joe Craven.
Joe's having difficulty unmuting himself for some reason.
Can we unmute his mic?
He's in control of his mic, Christine, not me, unfortunately. I just sent him a chat that he needs to unmute himself.
Okay, well, Joe is here. James Irwin,
I'm here.
Claire Kowalik,
Present at the Senior Center.
Nina Kendrick,
Here.
Bob Parks,
Here.
and Despina Tartsinis.
Present at the Senior Center.
Okay. Tonight's meeting is being conducted via Zoom because Zoom allows for maximum participation, but without the concern for room capacity causing cancellation. Please know the middle school and high school auditoriums do not have Zoom capabilities. Zoom ensures that the public is able to participate and also allows the commission to continue its business. The town has provided a physical location accommodation to those persons who made the request. So one of the chair's responsibilities is to conduct an orderly meeting. So we're going to continue to adhere to Robert's Rules of Order. Therefore, all commissioners need to raise their hand and first be recognized by the chair to speak. Also a reminder that since this is a Zoom meeting, everyone please needs to do their very best to state their name before making statements. Also, for purposes of clarification, the draft policies that were proposed with the 3/2025 Policy Subcommittee agenda, where the meeting was canceled due to room capacity and safety issues. Those policies are not on tonight's agenda for discussion, nor will they be added to tonight's agenda, as they have not been discussed by the Policy Subcommittee yet. However, there's a need to amend the agenda in regards to the Community Relations Subcommittee. Commissioner Boughton and Commissioner Parks have contacted me and requested that they be allowed to make a motion to add discussion on the funding and a vote on the disbursement of funds for the Kent Memorial Library to secure a booth for the 2025 Suffield on the Green, and to put it under agenda item number 6, section B, for the standing committees. So, Bob, that's your chair of that committee. Would you like to make the motion?
I will.
Okay.
I move that we add to section 6B of the agenda a more detailed report to ask for funds and to make a motion regarding budget items.
Thank you. Do I hear a second?
That.
That was, who was that?
Sorry.
Okay, that was Commissioner Boughton. Seconded. So is there discussion? Okay, all those in favor?
I'm sorry, this is Despina Tartsinis, Commissioner. The only comment, just for clarity, if we could just state that it's discussion and approval of securing a Suffield on the Green booth rental. I believe the expenditure is $65, but we can discuss that. But if we can just note it's discussion and approval of Suffield on the Green booth rental. Thank you.
Okay, so we're going to amend the motion. Is that what I'm understanding, Despina? You just want to make it a little bit clearer?
Please.
Okay. Any other discussion? Okay. Denise? I'm sorry.
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry, I thought your hand was raised.
Oh, sorry.
Okay, so all those in favor of discussing and voting on a booth for Suffield on the Green, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Is there anyone opposed? Okay, the motion carries. And it's added to the agenda under section 6, letter B. Okay, moving on to public comment. So public comment is set at the discretion of the chair. We will observe the usual tradition of allowing 2 minutes per person. Please state your name and address clearly for the record. If people start to go over the 2-minute allotment, the Zoom administrator will interrupt and ask the speaker to state a summation sentence. We want to try to give everyone an opportunity to speak tonight. However, before we start with Zoom participants, I have 2 letters that were sent to the commission with a request that they be made part of the record. The first is from Ms. Healy, and to summarize her letter of April 5th, she opposes the proposed youth collection policy. She states that the policy will cause costly court expenses in the event of a lawsuit, and the chair of the commission has not been transparent by posting the policy since the last meeting of the policy subcommittee was on March 2024, and the proposed policy would cause librarians to discriminate against a segment of their patrons. She urges the commission to reject the policy. The second is from a Ms. Begin, and to summarize her letter of April 7th, she strongly opposes the proposed policies and states that they are censorship. She disagrees with the cited sources and believes the policy is politically motivated. She also claims that citations are harmful and inaccurate and urges the commission to stand against it. So I hereby ask the secretary to reference these 2 letters in the minutes for this meeting. Now we will continue and open up public comment via Zoom. Please raise your hand to speak, and the Zoom administrator will unmute you once I've called on someone to speak. Again, please remember to state your name and address clearly. So thank you for your cooperation.
Christine, would you like me to call them, or would you like to call them?
I'm just looking to see where people's hands are raised, please.
Okay, so in line, the first person that's online, I don't know if you want to start with the senior center and attack that group first, or would you like to start on the attendance list?
I'm gonna just take a quick scan here to see. So,
on our attendees list, I see we're starting with Beth Chaffetz. It starts there, Annie Hornish, Ed Hall, Julie Spivisi, and down from there. Or we could do the senior center first, which has our attendees that needed assistance with the Zoom technology this evening. There are 14 in our room, 15.
okay, we'll start here with Beth Chaffetz.
Okay. Beth, please feel free to unmute.
We all set?
Hi, Beth.
I just wanted to make mention of, in the information that we got about some of this policy, some of the earlier sections of it referenced having it sounded like anyway, having the commission be sort of the gatekeeper to have the staff give their program requests to the commission before it comes to the Friends who financially support a lot of them. So I think there's some misconception about the role that the Friends of KML play in the programming support for the library. We don't choose programming. We meet monthly to review program requests that come from the staff. The staff or the director make requests for programming support, and we provide that from the financial support. We've been doing this for about 70 years. We don't push programs on the staff, they come to us. I only make these points to underline the fact that we don't influence program choices. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Beth. Okay, our next individual would be Annie
Next,
Harnish.
well,
Oh, go
I'm
ahead.
sorry, next we'll call on Mike Haynes.
Okay. Let's see. Hang on, we're jumping out with Mike. You should be able to talk, Mike.
Oh, that's great. Thank you very much. Can you hear me all right?
Yeah, we can hear you. Yep.
Great, thank you. I really want to address this to the Library Commission members. I just want to say thank you. You've got a hard job. There's a lot of moving parts. You know, the town really relies on you to do the right thing. And, excuse me, speaking about this new policy that the commission will consider, I know it's not on today's agenda, but I'm wholly in favor of keeping our young children's minds safe and free of all the sexually explicit and other harmful media that really should be intended for mature audiences. I appreciate and commend you on your work and for all the resolve that you keep for keeping our young minds safe. I mean, they are the treasure of this town, and it is our utmost responsibility to protect them from some of these things that are certainly intended for much older adults and ones whose minds are more fully developed. So thank you all for your efforts, and our kids certainly thank you, so keep up the great work.
Okay, thank you, Mike Haynes. Next, we'll go to Annie Hornish.
Annie, you can go ahead and unmute.
Hi, good evening. Yes, this isn't Annie, this is Neil, but I'm actually calling from the library auditorium. I'm here with quite a good group of people, a few of whom would like to make comments. So how would you like to proceed with that?
You can make your comment and then we'll go to another and then we'll return to the library. What is the username?
It's probably,
Is there one username for the library?
it's probably under Annie's name, but you can change that to KML or whatever you prefer.
I'll change it to KML.
All right, thank you.
Neil, would you like to make a statement? Or Mr. Hornish?
Sure, I'll make a quick statement. Neil Hornish, Thurl Avenue. First, I'd like to commend the chairwoman for the last agenda for the subcommittee meeting. You got that out like a week in advance of the meeting, which is pretty much unheard of. Usually boards try to get it in as close to the 24-hour timeline as possible. And I also appreciate you're actually attaching the policy to the agenda so people had a chance to review it. So I do appreciate that level of transparency that you gave. Beyond that, I don't agree with the policy itself. There's quite a lot I don't agree with, but I'll leave it at that and let other people make comments. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Hornish. Next, we'll go to Anne Franzik. Ms. Franzik?
Ann, you can unmute your phone?
Okay, can you hear me now?
We can.
Thank you. Ann Francis, 31 Greendale Drive. First of all, I'd like to say thank you to all the librarians for all the great work they do on Library Week. I trust all of you have had the opportunity to read the letter I sent to Ms. Sinopoli. With a bit of effort, I hope it's found its way to all commission members. With 25 plus years of LGBTQI activism, I am expressing my sincere, heartfelt, mama bear displeasure with the library subcommittee's policy proposal limiting access to library materials. I speak from my lived experience. It appears that this policy is primarily targeted toward LGBTQI issues and is largely driven by a primary unease with the reality of gender fluidity. Why? Because trans persons and gender dysphoria are to 2025 what gay persons were to the 1980s and millennia prior. LGBTQI folks have always existed and will always exist, and your efforts to discredit their knowledge of themselves will never erase them. What is needed is education. People are afraid of what they don't understand, just as my family was ill-prepared for my son's coming out 27 years ago. There was a time when gay people were considered pariahs. To some, they still are. They were not spoken of. They lived in the shadows. Thankfully, over time, with the acquisition of greater civil rights, giving more and more persons the courage to come out, attitudes changed. Since we humans always seem to have the need to target and scapegoat some group, trans persons are now the focus of this hate and discrimination. A trans person is a person whose gender identity differs from the sex they were assigned at birth. It encompasses a spectrum of identities beyond the traditional binary of male and female. Many falsehoods surround trans persons, among them that transgenderism is a fad, that children can only be trans after puberty, that all want hormone therapy and extensive surgery, that they hate their bodies, that their parents did something wrong, and most importantly, that they were taught to be trans. All these notions have been debunked. Your policy robs people of their rights of access. It hurts families because it stifles conversation. Access to books about gay and trans persons will not make anyone gay or trans, just as books about...
Ms. Franzik, if you could make a summation statement, you're at the 2 minutes.
Bricklaying will not make anyone a person. I implore you, if your son or grandson comes to you and says, I am not a boy, or a daughter or granddaughter comes and says, I am not a girl, don't immediately shut down or discredit the child. This is most important. Listen to children, take their lead, and love them. Most importantly, if the child is distressed, seek help not only for the child, but also for yourself. It takes one caring adult.
I'm sorry, you passed the 2 minutes, Ms. Franzik.
I have one second.
Move on to the next speaker, please.
Okay, who would you like next? Ed Hall?
User, Mr. User.
Mr. User. Okay. Just user? Is that what you're saying? No, user? Hello?
Hello?
Hi. Can you state your name, please?
Yes. Sorry. My name's Eric Harrington, 700 North Street.
Thanks, Eric.
Yep. Good evening. Parents have a right to be able to drop their kids off at the library or leave their kids in the children's section of the library while they go into the adult section without having to worry about their kids being exposed to inappropriate sexual and other material. We know that parents aren't always with their kids at the library. As a matter of fact, I don't remember my parents ever being with me when I used to go to the library. You know, as far as who decides what material is inappropriate for the children's section, the Library Commission is responsible. The commission is appointed by the democratically elected governing body of Suffield to establish policies for the operation and use of the library. It is the commission's role, not the librarians'. It is the librarian's role to operate the library within the established policies set by the commission. I support this policy, and I support your efforts at setting common sense guidelines as to what material is appropriate in the children's section. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Harrington.
Who would you like next?
Next, we'll have Julie Agnesi. And if people could please take their hand down once they've given their public comment.
Hello?
Hi, can you hear us?
Yes, hi. Hi, I'm B. Ray Perryman. I'm the Director of Communications of the ACLU of Connecticut. And I'm here tonight. And I'd like to say a few things. I know the council, I sent a letter that's linked on our website along with a statement, and I'll resend. I'm actually ready to email now to the chair to make sure that gets in the record. I know the council has received that, but I hope that you all take and review that letter. Tonight, since we're not actually discussing the policy and folks have a lot to say, I'd just like to talk to you all as like a person who cares a whole lot about good governance and the way that we treat each other in Connecticut. And I have to tell you, you're not telling us how many people are on the Zoom meeting. You're sort of rigging it where it's like 1 and 1 and 1. Like you are not meaningfully including public participation right now. And the high school is having the Board of Education meeting right now at this time. So like that's not what a group of people that like cares about education in their community and folks like does, is schedule these things to stack on top of one another so that civically engaged folks can't really be there, right? And I stood this weekend with the Attorney General, the Lieutenant Governor, the Treasurer, Reps, Senator Blumenthal, our Comptroller, and more than 5,000 people in Hartford at the Capitol. And people cheered me on to come fight this policy. And so I think you need to understand that your townspeople do not want this. This is not popular. It's not well-written policy, right? And we do offer technical assistance. We'd be happy to help you to, write some kind of, well-meaning policy that's in good faith, right? But I just don't see a lot of good faith activity going on with this board right now. And that's not really how we do things here in Connecticut. And I just want to put that on the record, and you are meaningfully excluding the public.
If you could sum up, please.
You're skewing the public.
We're approaching 2 minutes.
And you know it, and my advice to you as the communications director of an arm of a premier legal advocacy organization in the United States is to have some respect for yourselves and your community, change course, and consider what you actually believe to be.
Thank you, Ms. Perryman. You're over the 2 minutes. Thank you. I had actually called on Julie Spagnesi. I'm not sure what happened.
When you go out of order, Christine, on this list, everything jumps. It's easier if you go in order of hands raised. We have over 200 people on the call.
Okay, I wasn't aware of that.
Yeah. The next in line would be Ed Hall.
Okay. Mr. Hall?
Mr. Hall, speak first. Thank you.
Hi, can you all hear me?
Yes.
Hi, my name's Ed Hall. I'm a father of 2, and I've been an attorney in Connecticut for the last 20 years. I want to speak tonight. I'll be brief because I think I'll cover a lot of ground that other people have covered. I'm strongly opposed to the policy. There are a few things that I think the commission the committee should be a little bit more transparent about with regard to the policy. One, it doesn't clearly identify the author of the policy. I think it would be good for people to understand who wrote the policy. 2, as other people have brought up, so I won't cover this ground too much, you received a letter of rejoinder from the ACLU. The policy's written like a legal document. It's very possible that you're going to be fighting some sort of litigation with regard to this policy in the future. So I think the committee should be prepared to kind of present a plan for how that would be funded, if it would be taxpayer funds involved. And then finally, I just wanted some clarity on the books outlined in the policy. There are about 7 books that are referenced in this policy. You see people online referencing these books fairly often. And the content of these books, and I think the committee should really release information about whether or not these books are currently in the collection of the Kent Memorial Library in Suffield, because in my review in the catalog, it appears that only 1 book was actually currently in the children's section. 2 of the books are in the adult section, 2 are in the young adult section, and 2 appear not to be in the library's catalog at all. And I think that's pretty important because people are referencing these books when looking at this policy, thinking that there are these outlandish things contained in the children's section, and they're simply not there. I think it's misleading. So regardless, I really implore you that think of a group that you're part of that could be persecuted by a policy like this. Just imagine yourself on the other side of a policy like this when you're considering putting
Mr.
something
Hall,
like this into effect.
you're at 2 minutes.
Okay, I'm done. Thank you so much for,
If
I
you
really
could
appreciate your work as a public organization.
If you could please state your address for the record, people haven't been doing that.
Okay, certainly. My address is 53 Robbins Road. I'm in Berlin. I was interested in the Suffield Library. I canceled an art show there because of the policy.
Thank you for your testimony. Next, we'll move on to the Kent Memorial Library.
You should be able to unmute Kent Memorial Library. Can you hear us?
I can. 27 Old Farms Lane. My name is Jonathan. Very briefly, after witnessing countless acts of bigotry and homophobia in this town that have affected the youth of our town and caused self-harm and mental anguish, I really think we need to take better care of our kids by giving them a safe space in a library. And I think our librarians are very well suited to doing that job. They've been doing an excellent job. It's not the commission's job.
Thank you.
Thank you for your testimony, Mr. Jonathan. Is there anyone else at the Kent Memorial Library that would like to testify?
Oh, yeah.
Yes. Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, please identify your name and address.
Yeah, my name is Amanda Stebbin. I live at 348 Mapleton Ave. I'm here to voice my opposition to the proposed youth collection, acquisition, and retention policy. While I disagree with almost all of the proposed policy, as the mother of a 3-year-old and a 7-year-old, I believe that I can best speak to my opposition to Section 3, which eliminates all books presenting gender identity ideology in the section of the library aimed toward younger children. Books are not meant to only cover easy subject matter. In fact, books on a variety of subjects that are more difficult to broach with young children are an invaluable tool to parents. When my son started noticing that people didn't all look the same, when I couldn't fathom how I would explain the death of a beloved family pet to my daughter, I got them books from the library. These books were the start of a conversation, and I was grateful to have them as a resource. If the day comes that one of my children has questions about gender identity, I would like to have the same option of selecting books from the library that will help me navigate that topic. If we can access books on everything from wars, disasters, death, divorce, race, religion, and more in the children's section, I do not understand why this one particular topic should be considered taboo. Additionally, children utilizing the picture book section of the library are not old enough to be selecting and taking out books on their own without parental involvement. If parents want to limit what books their children have access to, that is their prerogative. This policy would only take away parents' agency to make those decisions on their own. Books are meant to open our minds and help us understand our world. They are not only meant to be a reflection of ourselves, but can also invite us to think about people, situations, and ideas that are outside our personal experience. The youth in our community are being educated to think critically about literature, and I think we are not giving them enough credit if we truly think they are being blindly influenced by everything they read. This is already the second step in a slippery slope, and I can't help but wonder what the next subject will be that is too dangerous for youth in our community to have access to. I have read enough in my life to know that the people banning books are never the good guys.
Ms. Steffen, if you could please sum up your statement in one
Therefore,
sentence.
I strongly urge the Library Commission to reconsider, listen to the concerns of the community, and not pass the proposed policy.
Thank you, Ms. Steffen. Is there anyone else at the Kent Memorial Library that would like to testify?
John Gracie, 48 Divine Road. Brief history, about a year and a half ago, the Library Commission had a big makeover. A number of people that volunteered at the library for years were on the commission, spent their time doing various things, book sales and whatever, and asked to stay on the commission, were displaced by members that basically were taken over by more Republicans, and there's only 2 Democrats right now on the commission, if I'm correct. Now, I can't say that all of the members that have been put on are anti-library, but I would even question how much some of these new commissioners over the last year and a half actually used the library, knew much about the library, or did volunteer stuff to help the library. One or two might have. I would even question if all of them even have library cards before they were asked to be on the library commission, which I think is a disgrace if that's the case. Now, I would much rather trust my grandkids, it used to be my kids, now my grandkids, to come into the library and have the librarians that are trained to do what they're supposed to do to help them choose books, as opposed to people that have very little experience educationally, most of them, or with the library, and like I said, not even having a lot of volunteer work in the library. Basically, they came in mostly as an agenda to kind of create this policy which we're trying to deal with now. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gacy. Is there anyone else at Kent Memorial Library?
Yep. Hello, my name is Rick Sotil. I'm at 426 South Grant Street. The bottom line is you're stepping on our First Amendment right. This is our right to speak, and you're stepping on it. You were all handpicked by the first selectman, and the first selectman is running for election this year. He will not run unopposed. You're stepping on our First Amendment right, and you don't have the right to do what you're doing by not holding a meeting in front of all your constituents. You made room enough to have that little dog and pony show when we had to vote for a cell tower, overpay $1 million for it. And you made room for that. But this is an issue that now you've divided it. You make the Board of Education the same time as you have them this year today. And this will be remembered. And I tell everybody here in this room in November, the first selectman will not be running unopposed. And this will not be forgotten.
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Sotil. Again, is there anyone else at Kent Memorial Library that would like to testify?
Hello, my name is Kristen Keene. I live on Copper Hill Road. I'm here tonight to express my disgust with the decision to hold this meeting via Zoom only. This was an accommodation made for the COVID crisis, not as a method for a public meeting to be held from your homes so you don't have to face the public. Shame on you for not having the courage of your convictions. If your intention is either this evening or sometime in the future to pass a policy that will infringe on our First Amendment rights under the U.S. Constitution, you are recklessly exposing taxpayers to the possibility of thousands of dollars in legal fees to defend against the litigation that will undoubtedly come from the ACLU and possibly other legal challenges. What gives you the right to do that in order to impose your personal agenda on this community? I would ask that each of you who support these extreme policies step down before you cause this community more embarrassing media coverage and potentially thousands of taxpayer dollars. The Board of Selectmen that voted to seat you on this commission should also be replaced and voted out when their terms are up. Elections are coming this November, and if this community is as fed up as I am, they should elect a new first selectman who will be able to oversee this town with fairness and an even hand. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Kemp. Is there anyone else at Kent Memorial Library?
Good evening. This is Glenn Robert, 526 Halliday Avenue West. I'm a little late to the show here, in all honesty. I am an administrator for an adjacent town here in Hartford County. Larger population, 22,500. Every town has its challenges, right? But I do have intimate knowledge of the programs and activities, the materials that are at the library. I'm here all the time, family is here all the time, and I think this age of misinformation not only divides the country on a federal and state level, but also on a community level, like no other. So I'm a man of fact. Like I said, I'm late to the game, but what drew me here was the national headlines and the gross amount of misinformation. I don't like seeing any kind of division, any kind of poor example for our future generations. To me, churches and libraries in every town are probably the most welcoming buildings that a municipality has, right? Look at the diverse crowd we have before us, 200 some odd people. So I'd like to question what exactly this list of banned books are, who are the authors, what is the material that you're kind of shooting down here. It makes me seem that no one on the committee is familiar with the programs or materials that are actually here on display at the library. I'm here all the time. I have a 6-year-old, I have stepkids 22, 23. I haven't found any material that's been questionable, so I just don't know what the motive is here. They do have an excellent reference section here on how to run a local government and also on policy. You should probably check that out.
Does anyone else at Kent Memorial Library wish to participate in public comment?
Hi, my name's Robin Chaucer, and I live on North Stone Street. And I've lived in Suffield for a while now, brought up my kids here, and was always very proud of this library. I remember when we struggled on if we were going to keep this library here or not, and I'm very glad that we did. I've been coming to the library a lot over the last 6 months to a year because I joined a banned book club, because we had a notion that these types of issues might be coming up. And I foolishly announced to all of the club that it would never happen in Suffield, and yet here we are. And it saddens me to see this. I was overjoyed to hear when I came into the library and questioned our librarians, and they were very proud of the fact that we did not ban books here in Suffield. And I went back to my group and club and mentioned that on Facebook and other areas, and so many people were proud of that. To see this now, and to see the lack of transparency and the rudeness that you are showing some of your constituents, it amazes me and it saddens me and it frustrates me, like I'm sure it probably does many other people. I agree that you should probably step down. This policy is not wanted in our community. It's going to cause heartache for the children, and it's going to cause expenses for us in a time that we are not going to be needing this. My final summation, I don't agree, and I think there's many people that don't, and I don't agree with the non-transparency, and I think that needs to be corrected. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Schlosser. I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly. Thank you again for your testimony. Anyone else at Kent Memorial Library?
Yes. Lisa Clayton. I live at 1367 Mapleton Avenue in Suffield. I am also an attorney. And when this policy came out, I thought I was reading a legal brief. And my first question was, I don't think anybody on that board wrote the policy, so who actually wrote it? I used a librarian friend of mine who ran it through AI, and surprise, surprise, it's copy and pasted from other sources.
Wow.
Now, as a person who used the library as a kid, when I read the comments about sexually explicit books, I thought back to what I read 40 years ago. Read books like Flowers in the Attic. That would probably be sexually explicit, because it has themes of incest. Even the Bible, by the way, has sexually explicit content in it. So this is a slippery slope. I agree with most of the other points made by the lawyers, but we need to stay away from this slippery slope. Because who's going to be the arbiter of what is considered sexually explicit? You talk about parents and their rights. Well, parents also have a right to choose their books for their kids and not choose books for their kids. And what you're saying to parents is, we don't really trust you to make the right decision. Trust me, we're going to do it for you. Right. You're taking that away from them, and that needs to be stopped. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Quinn. Is there anyone else at Kent Memorial Library that wishes to offer public comment?
Yes, my name is John Woods. I live at 307 Branch Road. My first library card here was in 1959. I'm still looking for the books that were due in 1964. I will get them back to you. I am not a lawyer. I have one question, and that is, when we say to someone, we don't want books about you, aren't we really saying we don't want you? Thank you.
Is there anyone else at Kent Memorial Library that would like to make public comment?
Hi, yes, this is Deborah Olet, 687 East Street South. I oppose the policy being discussed wholeheartedly. As a mom and a lifelong resident, the parents need to be able to have that choice, and everything in the library library should be inclusive. I just think beyond the gender identity and LGBTQIA environment, it's a very slippery slope. This policy would give a very far reach for all materials that would come into the library. We don't need that from the commission. We have librarians that are trained, that have the best intentions for our community. And on another note, the transparency, I have emailed this commission and our first selectman several times over the last week. The response has been almost nothing. And the fact that you went Zoom and then declined having an area for the general public to gather together says a lot about how you're running your show. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Willett. Ms. Willett. Is there anyone else at Kent Memorial Library that would like to make public comment?
Oh, sorry, yes, one more.
Please state your name and address.
My name is Kim Santorello. I live at 1127 River Boulevard. I am here to state that my son is trans. It's not contagious, and books certainly wouldn't have made him who he is, and he needs to be respected as a human being, just like every single other person in this town.
Thank you, Ms. Santoriello. Is there anyone else at Kent Memorial Library that would like to make?
George Austin, 520 South Street. For the sake of variety, I would like to commend the commission and offer my support for the policy. And I also agree, I strenuously dislike Zoom meetings.
Thank you, Mr. Austin.
Yes, once, twice.
Is there anyone else?
No, this is Neil. It looks like we've gone through everyone. Thank you for letting everyone here speak and get through it. And just for the record, I think we've got about 37, 38 people here tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. So it looks like we'll be moving on to Mr. Mike Stebbin. Mr. Stebbin, if you could please state your name and your address for the record.
Yes, hi, Mike Stebbin, 348 Mapleton Avenue. Many years ago, yet not many miles from here, I can recall my time spent in Connecticut's libraries, in which as a young boy I learned about America's founding principles. I read the Declaration of Independence and have carried with me throughout my life the sincere belief that as an American that we have certain unalienable rights, and among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. In school, I learned the Pledge of Allegiance with the understanding that the American flag is the physical representation of all that we hold true as an American people. Members of the Library Commission, I will ask you to ponder the very last words of our Pledge of Allegiance, with liberty and justice for all. All means just that, all. And more importantly, all refers to all Americans, including Americans who have chosen to pursue a life of liberty and happiness in a way the founders could not possibly have conceived of, in a way that many of us do not understand. I can think of no better place than a library in which it would be possible to gain an understanding of something that is perhaps foreign to us. But I will ask you, how can a library that contains resources on America's founding principles, among those being liberty, justice, and freedom, deny the right to resources for and about a segment of the population? Members of the Library Commission, I will remind you of the Pledge of Allegiance that you have made many times throughout your lives, and would ask you to weigh the importance of your pledge as appointees of a municipal commission. And again, I will ask you to consider the words, with liberty and justice for all. Does a vote in favor of banning books represent our collective freedoms? I think not. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Stebbin. Next, we'll move on to Kendra Wiesel.
Hi, my name is Kendra Wiesel. I live at 15 Dara Lane. There have been a lot of great points made by those in opposition of these policies. I have heard none that I disagree with so far. Prior to last month's meeting, it seems the policy subcommittee had not met since March of 2024, nor had business been reported. And I too have questions regarding the transparency and integrity of the process by which these policy drafts were written and by whom, most importantly. I hope that a subcommittee meeting will be scheduled in the near future that allows for public observation. Significant amounts of misinformation have been circulated recently, and there is a responsibility of this commission to have these discussions in public, as much of this misinformation has unfortunately been disseminated by the commission members themselves. I'm also concerned about the intent of these draft policies. Library scientists are trusted professionals. I disagree with Mr. Harrington regarding their role. These draft policies greatly undermine their role. Librarians are tasked with supporting the entire community, not specific interests. They have the right to provide unbiased resources and services while ensuring equitable access for all. It is essential that we support their work, and I would like to thank them and the KML staff during Library Appreciation Week. I believe in family choice and inclusivity. I do not support the discriminatory practices proposed in these policies. They are much more harmful to the use of Suffield than having librarian-vetted materials in the library, regardless of how any one person or group of people view their content. Having been an elected board member in the past, I would remind the commission members that they are also appointed to represent the town of Suffield, not their own personal or political interests. The vilification of LGBTQ+ youth and community members is divisive. It does not protect anyone in our community. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Wilson. Next, we have Mr. Alexander S. If you could please state your name and address for the record.
Hi, my name is Alexander Stenbeck. I live at 15 Roy Road in Basra. I am not a lawyer, but I am making a statement as a trans person and a trans youth. When I was younger, I was a trans youth who used services and used books as a way to see myself. And that's the biggest thing that I want to put out, is that my existence is not explicit. And because of that, we need to understand that the community that you are harming, the community that you are taking away material from, it is my community, and I am very opposed to this bill. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Stenbeck. Next, we'll move on to Ms. Christina Lang. If you could please state your name and address for the record.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes.
Thank you. My name is Chris Lang. My address is 90 South Road, Enfield. I've become a new user of the Kent Memorial Library, and I have a number of Suffield friends who have advised me of this. I've driven by there the last time you had an in-person meeting, saw the overflow parking, and heard what happened from my own librarians in Enfield. My reason for speaking at all is to first support all the people who are opposed to the policy, and to ponder the difference between a version that Suffield has with selectmen who are political beings appointing commissioners who then are political surrogates to monitor librarians' jobs, who are neither of those things. Whereas in other libraries, all the libraries I have worked at, volunteered at, and used, the librarians' technical ability was trusted and they were paid for that. Suffield, I wish that you would grow away from your politicization of reading. This is the parents' job, period. You're taking it away from parents, and those children and the rest of us have a right to have every single book that's available in that library. You really have to think about how you look compared to other libraries and library commissions. Thank you for the opportunity to speak, and I hope to see this repaired soon. Thanks.
Thank you, Ms. Lang. Next, we'll move on to Ms. Michelle D. If you could please state your name and address for the record.
Hello, my name is Michelle Drucking. I live at 193 Still Road, West Hartford. I am also a lawyer, and I would like to state my opposition to the policy. I am a little confused. Sorry, you just caught me, I was just coughing. There's another book in your library that talks about death and bestiality, where a young man gets into a sexually intimate relationship with an animal. And your policy doesn't seem to cover that. It seems to really just be directing itself at the queer community and books that are appropriate for kids, just saying like, hey, this is what this means, some people are like this. And I'm just interested in why those types of books aren't being targeted. That book, The Little Mermaid, where Prince Derek is sitting on a boat, hissing an animal. She's not human. And I know what you're saying. You're like, Michelle, that's crazy, that's a silly comparison. I know, I'm just trying to make a point. I could vilify any book in that library. I could do that to any one of them. And this path starts off as a really narrow one, but it doesn't end that way, I promise you. The next time we're sitting here talking, we will have done it before. And then we'll say, well, it was kind of okay then, and we did it, and like maybe this is okay. And that's how that path of censorship just gets wider and wider. My middle schooler, when he was in elementary school, he loved the I Survived books. And no one stopped him from taking them out. They gave him nightmares. And you know what I did? I just talked to him about it. And I got to decide if it was confusing. I got to decide what was true, not my town. So I really think that the commissioners should be commissioners and let us parents be our parents. And I'll just end with saying that I have a cousin in town with 4 kids. And when I get off this call, I'm going to offer my services pro bono. And if this is not repaired, I'm going to sue you. Thank you.
For your comments. Next, we're moving on to Rick Ayala. If you could please state your name and address for the record. Hello, there was Rick Ayala.
Yeah, I don't, let me see if he jumped somewhere, because, hang on. Here we go, hang on. He needs to unmute himself.
Mr. Ayala, if you could please unmute yourself.
I did.
There you go.
And maybe turn up your volume.
Oh.
Please state your name and address for the record.
Couldn't find the word unmuted. My name is Rick Aiello, Tuxedo Avenue in Shelton. I read that Kent Memorial Library's mission is to serve the community by providing learning resources and information services that support and improve individual, family, and community life. That's a quote. Now, if the youth collection, acquisition, and retention policy being discussed is to take gender identity ideology material out of the youth section and put it in the young adult section, I disagree. It should not be placed in the young adult section or anywhere in a public library. I question the wisdom and morality of this. Why is there any consideration of offering any materials to anyone at any age about gender identity or non-binary or gender dysphoria or gender reassignment? These materials even exist 10 years ago? The concept of gender identity and non-binary gender didn't exist then, as far as I know, because humans are either male or female. What does the Bible have to say about this? Mark 10:6 said, from the beginning of creation, God made them male and female. Matthew 19:4-5.
I'd like to hear, please.
Quiet in the background, please. Continue, Mr. Ayala.
Have you not read that he who created them from the beginning made them male and female? In Genesis 1:27, so God created mankind in his own image, in the image of God he created them. Male and female he created them. And I think you know how the Bible condemns homosexuality. By offering these subject materials to any group, you are pandering to a leftist agenda by normalizing what the Bible considers aberrations and blasphemies. This contributes to the breakdown of absolute morality and traditional values into relative morality and non-traditional values. In case you are not aware, this normalization process is one of the hallmarks of Zionist communism. Two of the funders
Be quiet, please.
Mr. Allen, can you get some statement?
Okay. Corruptly young underestimated cause a breakdown of moral virtues. Then there are the 45 declared goals for communist takeover of America that were put in the Congressional Record in 1963.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Aiello. Thank you very much for your testimony. Next, we will be moving on to Ms. Tabitha Hinkle. If you could please state your name and address for the record.
Yes, good evening, everyone. My name is Tabitha Hinkle. I live at 11 Old Farms Lane. I don't have a very eloquent statement. I didn't learn about this meeting until around 3 p.m. today, and I think that speaks to the volume of which it was organized in this process. As someone who's lived in Suffield for over 20 years, I found it shocking to find that we are talking about limiting resources in any position. As someone who works with children as an educator and tries to get them to read, I cannot in good faith ever condone limiting resources to youth. To those who would say that we want to leave our children in a safe space, I can think of no safer space than the library. A space for freedom, a space for exploration, a space to find questions for them to ask. And for fantastic librarians to give them good answers with their own knowledge and help guide them toward what they want to find. For those who are fearful of what their children may find in the library, why are you scared of a 6-year-old's questions? Why are you scared of your 12-year-old's questions? It is your job to answer them. It is our job to guide them and help them. And you as the parent have that freedom to guide them how you so choose, but you should be able to have those conversations and not be scared of them. I just would like to sum that up tonight by saying that I am appalled by this motion to even come forward, and I hope to see the library continuing as I have known it for the last 20 years to be a place of support for our students and our children.
Thank you very much, Ms. Hinkle. It looks like next we have Julie Spagnesi. If you could please state your name and address for the record.
Good evening. My name is Julie Spagnesi. I live at 132 Chestnut Circle. I'm the mother of 2 elementary school-age daughters, and we are frequent library patrons. I speak today in opposition to the proposed youth collection, acquisition, and retention policy. Firstly, I object to the policy lumping together what it calls gender identity ideology and sexually explicit material. I believe there is nothing inherently inappropriate about children reading books that feature gender nonconforming characters and topics, and to put those books in the same policy as sexually explicit materials is misleading. My own children have a beloved cousin who is non-binary. We had our first discussion of using people's preferred names and pronouns when my youngest was only 3 years old. This was not an inappropriate conversation for my children to have. The alternative would have been to deny the existence of their cousin. To remove any books that acknowledge the existence of transgender people from the children's collection is to tell my children that their own family isn't an acceptable thing to read about. Second, the metric for what is appropriate is always going to be incredibly subjective and different for every child and every family. So the onus is on parents to be aware of what their children are reading. My eldest is a gifted and voracious reader. When she was 7 years old, it became difficult to find appropriate books for her to read. The books aimed at 7-year-olds were too simplistic for her, but the books on her reading level sometimes contained themes that she wasn't ready for. It was not the library's responsibility to shield her from these books. It was my job as her mother to help her find the right ones. The best resource I found for finding books was our wonderful librarians. I would encourage any parent who is concerned about what their children read to have a conversation with them. They will be more than happy to help guide you to books that are appropriate for your family. Which brings me to my final point. The policy accurately identifies what the real question here is. Who gets to decide what materials to select for the library? The people most qualified to make those decisions are the people actually living the day-to-day life of the library, talking with patrons, seeing what gets checked out and requested. We are privileged to have a team of dedicated, experienced, knowledgeable, caring librarians. I trust them to make choices with the best interests of our community in mind. I would ask that this commission place a similar faith in them, rather than try to micromanage acquisition decisions. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Spagnesi. Next we have Mr. Nick Laricho. If you could please state your name and address for the record.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi, my name is Nick Larico. I live on 305 Bridge Street in Suffield. So I've got 2 girls. They're both very young, and we go to the library quite frequently. In my 4 years of coming to the library quite regularly, I have not encountered a single item in the children's section that I would deem inappropriate. This seems very, very much like a political solution in search of a problem, and we are applying it at the library. I'm very much opposed to this policy, and I urge you to reconsider it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. DeRico. Next, we have Mr. Jeremy. If you could please state your name and address for the record.
Sure. Jeremy Lambert, 2200 Mountain Road up in West Suffield. Thank you for your time. I too am a father of an elementary school student and would like to echo that, yeah, every time I've brought my child into the library, it's been a great place and have found nothing objectionable in the children's section. I strongly oppose the proposed policy to remove books about LGBTQ people from our public library. As others have stated, we have friends and family members who are a member of that community. Such a ban is harmful and exclusionary. It sends the wrong message to our kids about diversity and acceptance. Stories are how we learn about and better understand each other. Libraries should provide an access to a wide range of experiences and ideas, not censor them. Parents can guide their own children's reading. I do, as many of the other parents have expressed here. But the library shouldn't dictate what's available to others. Every child deserves the chance to see themselves and learn about others in the stories that they read. This proposed policy undermines that and should be rejected. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Larry. Next, we'll move on to Mr. Larry Peters. Please state your name and address for the record.
Mr. Peters, you need to unmute.
Mr. Peters?
While we're waiting for that, just to note, the library closes at 8:30. We can stay, but if you leave the building after 8:30, you're not getting back.
They've allowed us to stay beyond that deal?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Chris, can you tell if he is attempting?
Yeah, he's not muted. It must be something on his end. It looks like he's trying, but I don't know if there's something on his end. It may be something with his technology, because technically it says he's not muted, so.
Mr. Peters, maybe you can figure out your technical problem and we can get you back in the queue, but we'll move on to Ms. Sarah Field. Ms. Field, if you could please state your name and address for the record.
Can you hear me now?
You can.
Oh, I sound like a commercial. Okay. Hi, my name is Sarah Field. I'm at 34 Fairview, and I'm here speaking for Rainbow Alliance Connecticut. I don't live in your town. I'm an educator. I'm a huge library nerd, and I'm calling in to speak in opposition to this proposal. I work in suicide prevention, and I'm afraid you've been lied to. The data is really clear. When students see themselves reflected in an inclusive curriculum, they do better. They choose better. They stay in this world. They perform better in school. GPAs are higher. Attendance issues are lower. This is important. And I'm aware that identified hate groups have been circulating templates for political parties to use to create proposals like this in an attempt to strip power away from the trained librarians who have a master's degree in information systems and making these decisions. I also had the pleasure of attending a training by the Connecticut Library Association recently They are the state's professional organization, and this proposal is in direct opposition to their best practices for 2025. I'm kind of shocked to see it proposed in Connecticut, to be honest. I actually was calling in just to really recommend that your library board get this training from the Connecticut Library Association, because this is the current information that you need as a commission to do your job appropriately and because this is an overstep into your librarian's job.
Ms. Field, you've reached 2 minutes. If you could just state a wrap-up statement or sentence.
I'm all set. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you for your testimony, Ms. Field. Next, we'll be moving on to Ms. Jennifer Austin.
Hi, my name is Jennifer Austin and I live in Southington. I find myself asking if the commissioners or those writing this policy have actually met a trans or a non-binary child and seen their struggle. I'm a stepmom of a trans child, and I've seen their struggle, and it's been heartbreaking. Have you had a kid come home and say that they didn't use the bathroom all day at camp or at school because if they go in the girls' bathroom, somebody will say they're not supposed to be there, or they go in a boys' bathroom and they're told they're not supposed to be there either. This kid gets rejected to worry about these things every single day. They get asked all the time, are you a boy or a girl? And if they say, oh, I'm a girl, then the other kid will say, well, no, you're not. Why do you look like a boy then? If they say they're a boy, the kids say, no, I know you're a girl, because they knew this kid when they were younger and dressed like a girl. This kid struggles every single day. Nobody needs to be afraid of them. They're vulnerable. They just want to ultimately be left alone and allowed to live their life. They're not a threat to anybody. They just want to be loved and have a place where they belong. And by removing these books, you tell these kids that they don't deserve to be alive, that they don't exist, and that is not fair. There's nothing threatening about these kids. They just need to be allowed to exist. Thank you.
Next, we have Dr. Christina Hallett. Please state your name and address for the record.
Dr. Hallett, Newgate Road, Suffield. Just for general purpose, I'd like people to be aware that the term gender identity was actually coined by a psychiatry professor in 1964. This is not new, it's not post-COVID, it's not part of whatever people want to refer to as woke ideology. We'd also like to state that the materials that are actually in the children's section are age appropriate and written with the developmental needs of those children, as is certified by our skilled and well-trained librarians. The biggest issue that I have with the proposed policy, that is, I understand, not under review tonight, is that you are utilizing, or whomever the author is, utilizes in large part the CAS study as evidence. Instead, what I would suggest is that you avail yourself, and it is freely available on Google through Yale Law School, an evidence-based critique of the CAS review. And we'll just share a few things from the executive summary in that review. With these stakes in mind, the medical community, policymakers, and the media must understand what the review is and what it is not. It is an important document for those considering the availability of health services for transgender young people in the UK, it's not even about the US. It is an attempt to engage many parties, some of whom have ideological opinions that conflict with medical consensus. Emphasis mine. It is not an authoritative guideline or standard of care, nor is it an accurate restatement of the available medical evidence on the treatment of gender dysphoria. It is not an effective framework for enhancing clinical services for a marginalized group of people. Foremost, it is not an endorsement of a ban on medical care for transgender youth. I do encourage you to read this entire article yourself. It is done by actual medical and psychological experts who work in the field of transgender care. more broadly that there is consideration.
Excuse me, Dr. Hallett.
I am making my
Counts 2
closing
minutes
statement.
and 10 seconds.
I am making my closing statement. I am appalled that there is consideration of removing representation of our LGBTQIA+ youth. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Mr. Jack Harris Stone. Mr. Harris Stone, if you could please state your name and address for the record.
Jack Harris Stone. I am at 26 Leon Road, Unionville, Connecticut 06085. I am writing. Sorry, take a deep breath. I'm in opposition, strong opposition to the policy, and specifically its targeting of materials for LGBTQIA youth and their families. The library is a place for all people. It's we as a family. My family had when we were younger, we visited libraries wherever we were because they were a safe place. They were a place we could learn about. We could get a break. We could get some rest. We could get our needs met, our interests. We use the computers. We use the games. We use the books. We need to be able to see families like ours. We need to be able to see kids of all kinds. There is an appropriate place for a library that is centered around a particular a viewpoint, a particular religion, and that is church libraries. Church libraries are wonderful. They are great resources. If you want to be in a place that limits to a particular place, go visit your church library, but a public library is not a place that is only for some people. It is for all people. The people to determine what material is and is not age appropriate would be the librarians. That's what you pay them for. That's what we as a state support in our school, as our universities, in our education systems, is training for librarians to be able to do this, not commissions. And I'm saddened to know that there's a place that our families and kids are not as safe because materials of students like them who are representation of LGBT, trans, non-binary people.
Excuse me, Ms. Harris Stone, you're past 2 minutes. If you could make a summation sentence statement, please.
But my honorific is mixed, and I really hope that this is taken into consideration. Thank you so much.
My apologies. Your honorific was not clear. Next we have Trish H. If you could state your name and address for the record, please.
Sorry, can you hear me?
Not very well. Could you maybe...
Yeah. I'm trying to hear. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, it's not the best quality, but why don't you just go ahead and try?
My question was, I'd like to know who drafted that policy for the book for state, and I would also like to know which we're not privy to because commission members are appointed and not elected their schooling. I would like, if they're choosing books, if that's what the draft policy says, I would like to know that they are educated enough to do so. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Trish H. Next we have, I'm going to try to say this as best I can, Fluker Smith. If you could please state your name and address for the record.
Hello, my name is Halden Fluker Smith. You did a great job with that, thank you. I'm at 935 North Grand in West Suffield. I'm a former educator. I have 2 kids. I think we're fighting for the record for the most kids' books going out of the library. We take 30 to 40 of them out at a time. Librarians know us very well. And a lot of people have said a lot of things that I don't want to necessarily rehash. But as a parent, really, we're the ones that should be responsible for our kids. And if someone's dropping their kids off at the library and they don't know what their kids are doing there, like the middle schoolers running amok in the library, I hear stories of that. As a parent, life, the famous quote, life will find a way, from Jurassic Park, but kids are so brilliant and they will find a way to get knowledge. And if you deny them that knowledge at the library, they're going to look elsewhere. They're going to ask their friends. They're going to go on the internet. I mean, this is as many have said, a slippery slope of censorship. But, how many of you, of the parents who are pro this policy, really are engaged with their kids' lives and listen to the music they listen to? Everyone, Chaperone, Pink Pony Club, and I bet if I started humming it, you'd all be able to sing it in your head. So do you go out and buy that album for your kid? I mean, if you did, would you then go and have a discussion with them about the song Casual? So I think that trying to go and have censorship and put these trained librarians who know the material, who know and are trained in doing this, it's like saying an educator, no, you shouldn't be teaching. What you should do is play this video. And that's not the way to do it. Let the parents be parents. Let the librarians be librarians. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Fluger-Smith. Next, we have Robin Henry. Please state your name and address for the record.
Actually, this is Jack Henry of Pheasant Lane in Suffield. I agree with all the comments in strong opposition to the proposed draft policy. We have expert librarians who are professionally trained to decide on the books that should be presented. And I'm appalled that this policy would be even suggested. It is a rejection of certain members of our community. It puts our community in a very bad light. And it likely will cost our community legal expenses, which I feel should be borne by those members of the commission who vote in its favor and those who appointed them. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Henry. Next, we have Shannon Watson. Please state your name and address for the record.
Shannon Watson, I'm at 333 Griffin Road in West Suffield. I know we aren't going to answer any questions and probably won't find out much information anytime soon, but I just wanted to make a couple statements. I'm confused what education, any level anyone has that would be making decisions regarding what children should or shouldn't be reading, what training they've had in that. I'm assuming none, so I'm not sure why you put yourself in that position. The fact that this is just a boilerplate policy that's been shared around to other libraries by various hate groups that's not surprising. That's how it reads. What I'm really hoping is you have a choice to remain uneducated and bigoted. It's your choice. But when you try to impose that onto other people and make choices for what they are allowed access to, you're crossing over a line. That's not what this country's about. The town will get sued. You will waste our money fighting a lawsuit for something that only a small group of people in this town want. And for what? To push a political ideology? Maybe if you had been exposed to more books as children, you wouldn't be where you are now. So, that's it.
Thank you very much, Ms. Watson. Next, we have Tom Frenet. Please state your name and address for the record, Mr. Frenet.
Okay, hello, my name is Tom Frenet. I live at 489 Warnertown Road. A couple things, thanks to the chairman for trying to run an efficient meeting. It's a tough job. I will say one thing, that when you talk about giving testimony, that's a little bit offensive, but I'm glad you're taking public input, and I'm glad you've been tolerant going through the process. I want to thank the Library Commission for bringing out the best in Suffield with the comments that we've heard tonight. I'm very impressed with the community discussions and comments, and I hope you guys have all listened very carefully, because I think they're pretty clearly telling us all what they want in a library. The commission should stop the effort to go forward with this policy. When I look at the original document, it says it was created by Jerry Mahoney. Jerry is a former selectman in Suffield who recently moved out of town. But I guess I would say the policy reads like something Jerry would write. I don't know if he did it all or some members of the subcommittee put it together, but I know that all members of the subcommittee were not participating in the process of creating the document. I'm very supportive of the library staff. They do a great job. I've always loved being in libraries and using them, and I hope you'll continue to do the best for the library, but more than that, the best for the community as a whole. Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you, Mr. Frenet. Next, we have Shirley. If you could please state your name and address for the record.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi, my name is Shirley Leung, and I have lived on Oxford Drive since 1992. I'm not in favor of any proposal to sideline books based on whatever the latest criteria of anti-anything is. I feel that when kids hear something is like forbidden, it's like reserved, they're going to gravitate towards it. So if they can't get it at Suffield, they'll look at it on the internet, they'll try to go to Windsor Locks, anywhere else. I also don't think kids are that easily indoctrinated. If they were, they'd all do their homework, they'd do their chores, they'd go to bed without whining and griping. I mean, let's face it, they're not that easily indoctrinated. On a different level, when you sideline books or say these are not appropriate, the kids that might relate to those books, are they supposed to feel alienated, unaccepted, unwanted, undesirable, abnormal? I don't want to send any young child that message. Childhood is difficult enough, especially with social media influences, etc. Kids need to feel accepted. You put a book on a shelf and said, oh, that's for those other weirdos. That's not right. I think parents should be free to monitor what their kids take out. And if they are concerned about what their children are seeing, then come to the library with them. But don't say this is not suitable for my kid, so therefore nobody else's kid could find it on the shelf. I mean, make your own decisions. Show up to the library with your kids. Age limits are also a little bit of a slippery slope. As a fourth grader, 9-year-old, I grew up in New York City. I had an adult library card. That was based on your reading level. But yet there are children now that are at the fourth grade level, are 9 or 10 years old, and they're still
Ms.
not.
Leung, you've hit the 2-minute mark. If you could make up a summation sentence, please.
Thank you. I am really grateful that the librarians we have at Kent Memorial Library are well-educated, professionally credentialed, and helpful to all. They're helpful to young and old, all sizes and shapes, all colors.
Thank you for your testimony. Next, we have an unidentified iPad.
Hi, my name is Catherine Frelly of 1275 East Street North. I have a son in kindergarten, and we frequent the library often. As others have said, I have never seen a book in the children's section that was inappropriate. I feel as though the librarians do an excellent job of determining what books are in our library and where they are placed. I agree that no sexual content should be in the children's section, but I do not agree that this policy is needed to prevent that. The librarians already do this job. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Kelly. Next, we have Joe Chichitelli. If you could please state your name and address for the record.
Thanks for holding this meeting. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Thanks for holding this meeting and for the opportunity to speak. Just wanted to share a few thoughts. Moving a book from one side of the library to another isn't book banning. It isn't censorship. It's not a First Amendment violation. There have been instances in the past of displaying books containing sexually explicit images on an end cap in the young adult section, which is right in the vicinity of where younger children walk around. This is a public library, and members of the community should have a say in what materials are in the children's section. I believe the majority of the community is opposed to pushing sexually explicit material on our young kids. I thank the Commission for their efforts, and I support the policy. Thank you.
Thank you, and I'm going to massacre your name. Chichitelli.
Thank you.
Next, we have Julianne Williams. If you could please state your name and address for the record.
Hello, my name is Julianne Williams. I'm on North Street in Suffield. I'm a resident of Suffield, and I would just like to publicly say that I strongly oppose the draft policy. I believe that our librarians are well educated and well trained, and I trust their decisions over that of the committees 10 times out of 10 when it comes to what books should be available in what section. I feel bad for our librarians that with this policy you are basically questioning their ability to do their jobs. And I especially feel terrible for all of the members, the LGBTQIA plus individuals who have to be exposed to the hatred that this policy backs. Again, I strongly oppose this policy, and I hope that it does not even come to a vote. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Williams. Chris, I don't see anyone else listed with their hand raised. Do you see any other?
I see, there was some, Larry Peters was still on and Stephen Dunn, and then we have the group at the Senior Center.
Okay, let's continue with Larry Peters.
Okay, and he's the one that was having difficulty, so we'll see.
Well,
we'll try.
Okay.
I've asked him to unmute, I'm not sure. He may have been listening and stepped away. That's always possible.
Okay, let's continue then with Stephen Dunn.
Yep.
If you could please state your name and address for the record.
I asked him, was that the gentleman? I asked him, was he on a list? If he's not.
He's on the list.
Okay, if he's, yeah, if, he didn't tell me that at all. If that was,
Okay, please bear with us as we try to iron something out so we.
You can ask the chair because it doesn't look like they're, either one of them are, Steve John's not coming on either. Do you want to move to the Senior Center?
I'm sorry, we have Larry Peters here at KML.
Oh, Larry, you got through. Okay, great. Go ahead.
Hi, I'm Larry Peters from Deep Brook Harbor. I mean, people have said, I agree with what a lot of people have said. I oppose the document, which I think is more about hate than love and acceptance. I did read, you know, when it came out, I read the footnotes, and aside from Supreme Court decisions in the 60s, most of them were concerning a an expert who had reviewed data on transgender people from the British Health Service. And her message was, yes, there hasn't been enough longitudinal data yet on biological treatments, but yes, these people need ways to go and to adapt. And it's about kindness, not about hate, and not about rejection. I mean, to say otherwise is to open up so many of our children to more bullying than they're getting already. So anyway, please reject this ridiculous document. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Peters. Is Stephen Dunn still in the queue?
He's in the queue. He's not responding. I mean, he's unmuted right now, but again, it's another person that either they might be having technical difficulty from their end.
Hello? Can you hear me?
Mr. Dunn?
Yes.
Hey, we can hear you.
Okay.
Please state your name and the address for the record.
Stephen Dunn, Woodbridge Drive, Suffield, Connecticut. I've lived in Suffield for almost 40 years. Let me just start off by saying all libraries practice censorship. That's not the question here tonight, is whether or not to have censorship in our library. 100% of libraries do it. For instance, I've noticed that there are no pornographic movies in our library. I'm not complaining about it. I think that's appropriate. And it's just a question of what's appropriate and what's not appropriate. We always practice censorship. Now, movies are rated G, PG, R, and X, and I don't think anybody thinks X-rated material is appropriate for our library. We can't always control our kids when they're in the library. Kids get away from us, and for that reason, I think the library has to be a G-rated kind of place. And, you know, you can't always control your kids. I agree, and the kids might find things on the internet. So that's why, as parents, we can watch our kids when they're home, when they're on the internet, and try to do our best there. When they're in the library, I shouldn't have to worry about what my kids are going to find. I know that some of the material that was in the kids section was what I consider to be very sexually inappropriate, with pictures and references to things like anal sex, which, I mean, I don't have to be a master's degree in library science to know that I don't think I want my young child to see that. You know, if parents, you know, don't want their child to see, if they want their kid to see a particular book, guess what? Amazon, 2 clicks, and the book will be there probably in a day or 2. So there's no question that the books are available for parents who want their kids to see whatever kind of things they want to see. And that's their prerogative. But when kids are at the library, it should be a safe place, like everybody said. And safe place is G-rated, and I don't have to worry about my child seeing something that I don't think is appropriate. And that's the bottom line.
Thank you, Mr. Dunn. Is there anyone else in the queue to speak at public comment, Chris?
There's no one else with their hand raised at this time. So we can move to the senior center group.
The senior center is ready for you.
If the first person would state their name and their address for the record, please.
Yes.
Hello, Tess McCall, Tensatoa. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes, Tess.
In honor of National Library Week, I would first like to take a moment to thank all of the staff at Kent Memorial Library for their commitment and dedication to our community and our children. Please know you are valued. To the members of the commission who are here in person, thank you very much for being willing to show your faces tonight. I strongly oppose the draft policy or any policy that violates First Amendment rights by discriminating against certain viewpoints or content. Such policies are unconstitutional. As public officials, you have a fiduciary responsibility to protect Suffield from unnecessary financial risks. Courts across the country have consistently ruled against local governments and school districts that adopt policies similar to the discriminatory one that is proposed by this commission. Time and time again, these cases have resulted in significant financial losses for their communities. Plano, Texas paid over $500,000 in legal fees and settlements. Crawford County, Arkansas paid over $420,000 in legal fees, not including the $112,000 in the plaintiff's legal fees, of which you would also be responsible for. In Nassau County, Florida, they wasted over $100,000 defending a ban on a single book, only to have it overturned. And in Matsu, Alaska, they settled with plaintiffs for $89,000. These are just some of the most recent court cases that highlight a pattern. When governments impose personal beliefs through policy, as some on this commission want to do, taxpayers bear the cost. The moment this commission overrides the expertise of our professionally trained librarians with ideological agendas, you breach your duty and risk our town's finances. Please know, if you adopt a discriminatory policy, be prepared for a costly legal challenge. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. McCool. Are there any others? Please state your name and address for the record.
Hi, it's Fred Schweitzer. 165
Brad, could you, Mr. Schweitzer, could you please speak up? Or
Is
get
that
closer
better?
to the microphone?
Is that better?
Much better, thank you.
Okay, sorry, I'm tall. First, I wanted to say thank you to the chair for allowing such an extended public comment period. I really appreciate it, and I see heads nodding around the room. I also wanted to say thank you to Chris Lambert, who made Herculean efforts to make this all happen when I believe she's supposed to be on vacation. And to the IT person, I apologize, I do not know your name, but all those people that have worked hard to make this happen. I have written a lengthy letter to the members of the commission. I appreciate you reading it. I know that some of you have because you told me. I suspect you've received quite a few, and I won't reiterate my comments here, but I do want to add just a couple. I've been thinking a lot lately about our community of Suffield and the kind of community I hope that it will be. I join many others in hoping that it will not be the kind of place that takes control of the library collection away from the trained professionals and places it in the hands of a group that is subject to intense political pressure. I am hoping it will not be the kind of place that responds to the concerns of some by impeding or removing access to certain materials for everyone's children. But most of all, I hope this is a community where we can engage in thoughtful, respectful, and informed dialogue around these and other issues, rather than having a radical change in direction rushed through. To the best of my knowledge, the proposed policies were not even drafted by the policy subcommittee and were instead presented to them. And with all due respect, I believe you find yourselves in over your heads. So I urge you in the strongest possible terms to either set this aside altogether or to table this discussion, work on having forums, meaningful community and professional input before you decide what to do. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Is there anyone else?
Yes. My name is Libby Began. I'm at 50 Cross Street. I'm here to express my strong opposition to the proposed youth collection, acquisition, and retention policy, which is deeply concerning. It uses biased sources, including those from conservative think tanks like the Manhattan Institute, which has consistently promoted anti-transgender rhetoric. This policy relies on unfounded, harmful claims about transgender youth that have been debunked by respected organizations such as the ACLU and the Pediatrics Journal. It is deeply troubling that such a discredited material is being used to justify what is essentially censorship in our library. I strongly believe that no politically appointed individual should have the power to decide which books should or should not be available in our public library. That responsibility should be left to trained professional librarians who base their decisions on neutrality, expertise, and the needs of the community, not political agendas. Libraries should be places of free access to diverse ideas and viewpoints. This policy undermines that core principle. I will continue to stand against this policy and encourage others to continue to stand with me, so that together we can ensure our library remains a space that serves all members of our community, free from discrimination and censorship. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Began. Is there another person that would like to offer a public comment?
Yes, my name is Bob White, 9985 Newgate Road. I was on this commission for 28 years before I was summarily removed. The KML Commission's policies over the last 50-plus years were always written by commission members. Our goal was to ensure that all the people of Suffield would be well served by KML's collection and services provided. Now it seems that a non-commission member has written or copied a politically motivated policy that would limit how the library and its staff choose items in the collection and what programs to run. What the staff members do and how they do it should only be defined by the library director, not by the KML Commission, not by Suffield Selectmen. This is per the ALA and the CLA. The current policy on collection development already forbids material that appeals solely to prurient interest. Responsibility for material selection rests with the library director, who must consider 16 criteria, which are clearly spelled out in our current policy. There is no need for a change in KML's policies.
Thank you, Mr. White. Is there anyone else at the Senior Center who would like to?
This is the real Robin Henry, 12 Pheasant Lane, Suffield, Connecticut. First, I want to thank you for granting me this opportunity to speak. I have lived in town for 38 years, and my children were raised spending countless hours in the Kent Memorial Library. It was a place where they could feel safe and could find books to answer almost any question that they had. As a parent, I knew that I could trust the librarians to help them find the answers that they sought, whether for a school project or for their own edification. I also spent 33 years in the public schools, working with individual and small group children, mostly at the middle school and high school level. I saw firsthand the damage that lack of being accepted and feeling rejected caused for some of my students, and I would hope that this would not happen here in Suffield. Personally, I was a child with an insatiable appetite for reading. By my 12th birthday, I had read every book in the young adult section of my hometown library, and my parents were able to get me permission to start on the adult section, with the understanding that they would guide my choices. As a smart girl who excelled in science and other geeky topics, I tended to be somewhat outcast and bullied. The library was my refuge, where I could find books about other girls like me. I am distressed that this commission is considering a policy that would restrict books on certain topics that children may need to explore in order to feel okay about themselves. I shudder to think of where I might be today if that had been the case in my library. I am strongly opposed to censorship in any form, and this would be a form of censorship. The First Amendment is critical in a free society. I am strongly in favor of maintaining parental rights. The decision of whether or not a child should read a certain book should be up to that child's parents, not the government. Lastly, I feel strongly that all public officials, including the members of this commission, should be available for meeting in person with the public, the people of Suffield, so that we can have a better exchange of ideas.
Ms. Henry, if you could just make a summation sentence statement.
Yeah, my last sentence is coming up. Thank you again for listening to me tonight.
Thank you, Ms. Henry. Do we have anyone else that would make?
Yes. This is Suzanne Irwin, 58 Marburn Drive, Suffield. And I wanted to thank you for arranging these accommodations. It seems like they were set up in about 24 hours. The video and audio were excellent. Perhaps some of the best I've experienced in town at any of the meetings I've gone to. So if this system can be set up at the Senior Center in pretty much a day, I don't see any reason why they can't install a system like this at Suffield Middle School auditorium. That would also help with town meetings. So I would suggest adding this capability permanently to the Suffield Middle School auditorium so that we can discontinue this chaos with the Kent Memorial Library Commission meetings. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Irwin. Does anyone else wish to make public comment?
Yes. My name is Kristen Kling, and I live at 7 Strathmore Lane in Suffield. I grew up in Suffield, graduated from Suffield High, and recently moved back to town. I have taught college students for over 20 years and am now on the faculty of the psychology department at UConn. I use numbers to understand the world. Estimates are that 42% of trans youth have attempted suicide. I repeat, 42% of trans youth have attempted suicide. For trans kids, feeling a sense of belonging is literally a matter of life and death. It seems to me that we are weighing the sensibilities of those who fear and distrust learning against a despair so deep it leads some children to try to kill themselves. Creating a sense of belonging for everyone is simple, and we should do it as a community, guided by trained and professional librarians. I am proud to stand here today with the vast majority of those who have spoken today in opposition to the proposed policy. Thank you for listening. And there is one more.
Thank you, Ms. Kling.
Carrie White, Newgate Road, West Suffield. I totally agree with the people who are so opposed to the censorship, and I support all of what they've said, so I won't reiterate that. I would like to comment that I am alarmed by the proposal in this policy for a requirement that the KML director provide the commission with the name of anyone who requests children's material. Often requests for children's and adult materials are handled by ordering them through interlibrary loan. Does this new requirement mean that if I wish to borrow The Trumpeter of Krakow, which our library does not own, the library commission will be notified? Why does the commission have a right to know what I want to read? What happened to KML's patron anonymity policy? If that has been canceled, the public should be warned. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. White. Did I hear someone say that that was the last person at the senior center who wished to offer public comment?
That is the final person at the senior center. Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you. Chris, is there anyone else that you see with their hand raised?
Kent Memorial Library has their hand raised again. I'm not sure if they did that accidentally or if they had more people that arrived, so I guess we could ask them.
Yes.
Yeah. Hi, thank you. Yes, we do have 3 more people. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Neil.
Please state your name and address for the record.
Hi, my name is Dana Kling, and for years I lived at 1120 Newgate Road, and now my parents live at 5 Charles Court. And I just wanted to quickly say that all growing up through Suffield, Kent Memorial was a sanctuary for me. I've since become a high school teacher, and as you heard from my sister earlier, she is someone who works with numbers, but I work through children. And I have to tell you, any number of so many kids and trans kids that I've had the privilege to teach. The ideation of suicide is very real, and that this type of fear is absolutely at the core of what's motivating this is absolutely baffling to me. Ben Franklin, when he established public libraries in the United States, would be appalled at this type of stuff. And I just have to speak up for that and the history of Suffield and how important libraries are to a community. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. Does anyone else wish to make public comment?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Oh, hi.
Yes, please state your name and address for the record.
Hi, Sandra Janik, 380 Prospect Street. And I also very much oppose this proposed draft of policy for all of the many reasons I've heard here tonight. I also found so much solace in libraries my whole life, so much opportunity and just so much comfort for people in so many different ways, so many things for so many people. And I just want one further comment. To the gentleman who spoke earlier about libraries being difficult to control children, I'm not sure what to say, sir. Ultimately, it is your responsibility to control your children. If you need to just make sure your children see what you want them to see. You can't expect the rest of the community to put everything away because you don't want to watch your child or you think it's the librarian's job to do so. It is not. It is yours. I don't mean to be snarky, but that's bottom line it. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Janet. Is there someone else?
One more speaker. Yep, my name's Annie Hornish, 864 Thrall Avenue. I'm opposed to this policy. I feel this is a overreach of local government. You should not be telling people, taxpayers, voters, what they should be reading or what their children should be reading. So I oppose this, and thank you for your time.
Thank you, Ms. Hornish.
That's it, thank you.
Okay. There's Jessica Coletta.
Where?
I see a hand raised by a Jessica Coletta.
Let's see. Okay. They just
Hello, can you hear me now?
Yes. Please state
Hi.
your name and your address for the record.
Jessica Coletta, Kent Ave. I have lived in Suffield for over 15 years and spent much more time here before that. I'm a mother of 2 children, and I spent an awful lot of time at Kent Memorial Library. And I just want to go on record as saying that I highly oppose this policy. I think it's very harmful. And I also think that we have wonderful staff at Kent Memorial Library, very qualified, highly educated people who should be making the decisions, not an appointed commission. And that's not to say anything towards the commission. The commission, I'm just saying thank you for, putting this out there. I wish there would be a little bit more transparency, but this is not the right look for Suffield. And I really hope that you will oppose this policy. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Coletta. Next, we have Garrett Pinder.
Hello, everybody, and thank you so much for holding this. My name is Garrett Pinder, former director of the Kent Memorial Library there in Suffield, resident of Enfield, Connecticut, just across the river. I, too, strongly oppose this policy, and I would urge everyone on the commission to review our notes from many years ago when I was still working there, and the beginnings of this issue came to fruition. And I'd like everybody to pay attention to who is crafting that policy and who is really pushing the agenda. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Pinder. Next, we have Sam Lee.
Good evening, can you hear me?
Yes.
Good.
Your name and address for the record.
Hi, I'm Sam Lee. I am the Intellectual Freedom Co-Chair of the Connecticut Library Association. Thank you for allowing me some time to speak very quickly. The Commission should have received the statement from CLA. I encourage you to look that over for folks who are listening in. We do have that posted on our website, CT Library Association. Just a reminder for folks, as co-chair of the Intellectual Freedom Committee, I provide support to libraries, library workers, and librarians dealing with First Amendment issues, challenges, book bans, and censorship issues. I am here to provide support to anyone else listening in this meeting and wanting to organize against book bans and challenges. Thank you for the opportunity. I encourage the Commission to listen to its constituents.
Thank you, Ms. Lee. Okay, I want to thank you all for your testimony and thank all of you who are respectful of the 2-minute time limit. We'll move along to communications. The communications that were received, there were a number of them. These included letters regarding the proposed policies, which were forwarded to the commissioners. I also notified the commission.
Excuse me, this is Despina Turtsenis, Commissioner. I believe you skipped over minutes, and I think
Oh.
we need the minutes approved before we move forward.
Thank you.
Of course.
I apologize for overlooking that. We are moving along to item agenda number 3, the minutes from the regular meeting of March 11th, 2025. Discussion? Would someone like to make a motion to approve the minutes, please?
This is Bob Parks. I move to approve the minutes of the March 11, 2025 minutes.
Do I hear a second?
This is Nina Kendrick, I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Are there any
Aye.
opposed?
This is Bob Parks again. I abstain. I wasn't at that meeting.
Thank you for noting that, Bob. I didn't hear any nays, is that correct? Okay, the motion carries. So next we will move on to the communications. Item number 4. As I was stating, the commission received a number of communications. These included letters regarding the proposed policies, which were forwarded to the commissioners. I also notified the commission that I received emails regarding inquiries requesting Zoom info and agenda info, meeting format complaints that included a physical location accommodation request and physical location accommodation requests.
Chairman Sinopoli, this is Mike Alexopoulos.
Yes, Michael.
I have something I want to say. Just to know if this is the right time for me to say something, or should I wait until later in the agenda?
Is it on the agenda in a later numeral?
I suppose so. It's regarding the policy subcommittee itself.
Do you have any comments on the communications?
Actually, it relates to that as well, so that's why I'm kind of questioning whether it should fit in here best.
I'll leave that to your discretion.
Okay, then I'm going to go for it. So again, Mike Alexopoulos, commission member. And I'm going to attempt not to duplicate things that have already been said, but I just need to run through a few things for me. Me being me. On the March 11th meeting that we just approved, the chair of the policy committee suggested there was nothing to report. However, less than 3 days later, an agenda was posted calling for a meeting. And then attached to that, was a 24-page draft document that was worthy of inclusion probably in the Law Library Journal. It just seems inconsistent with the chair's report of nothing to report. Now, admittedly, I'm not a member of that subcommittee, but I was under the impression that all KMLC members should receive notification of subcommittee meetings. It was a position argued by our chair, as a matter of fact, when she was seeking transparency for all KMLC matters. So given the publicity of our canceled meeting, it just seems ill-advised that we called this meeting to be a Zoom. I understand what you said. It seems ill-advised. I'm just going to leave it at that. We're a public commission, and we represent the entire community. And our business, while it's typically mundane, I have to admit, it was easy to predict that we were going to have a significant outpouring of public interest. So as a community, and as a commission that represents that community, this meeting deserved to be in person and on an occasion worthy of that public interest. I do throw a question out. I guess it's not necessarily to be answered today, and we've kind of heard it from someone else, but I'm going to ask it very directly. How many of the reference books are in our current library? And why are we reviewing or discussing speculation if all of them aren't in our library? And has the current policy failed our operation recently? This is why we've hired an outstanding director, and we have an experienced and well, in my opinion, educated staff to do this. I promise you, I'm not interested in reviewing books or trying to figure out what shelf they're supposed to be on. Thank you for letting me make these comments.
Thank you, Michael, for your statements.
This is Jim Irwin, Commission member. I request to address a question that I have actually about the correspondence communications portion of the program here. There were, as you pointed out, a number of communications, and you did forward them all to us. A year or two ago, Michael actually had made a request back before you were chair that contemporaneous distribution of correspondence in order for the commission members to be able to review these in a timely manner was something that should be strived for by the commission. And all of these documents were in fact distributed over a half-hour period on Saturday night between 5:19 and 5:55, which is tantamount to the analogy could be drinking out of a fire hose. And it was very difficult for most of the commission members to assimilate all of this information in time for this meeting. And so I would request that in the future there be a greater effort made to distribute this information that comes addressed to the entire commission in a more contemporaneous fashion. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your statements, Jim.
Commissioner Gigaday, please.
Corbin?
Just for the record, as we're going, I actually, as a commissioner, preferred that it all came at once so I could sit down and have a block time to look at it. I had a harder time processing the information when my email was given out, and I'm getting an email this day, this hour, some people sending the same thing 3-4 times. My personal email is not out for public information, and I prefer that it goes to the commissioner, like we've discussed at previous meetings, and the commissioner, chairperson, and the chairperson distributes it. So all of us have different ways that we process information. It was better for me in a block form than individuals of the community emailing me and then also getting it sent a second time from the chair doing the proper process.
Thank you for your statements, Corbin. Are there any other commissioners that would like to make a statement? Denise? Is your hand raised?
That's it, wait a minute, it says lower hand. I'm so good at this. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, good. Now it says raise hand.
You can go right ahead and speak.
I had nothing to say. I'm just waiting to move on to the standing committees. Thank you very much.
Okay.
I didn't realize I was doing that. I apologize. I still can't be seen, so that's not intentional either.
Okay, so we will move on to the report of the director. So Amy, if you could please continue with your report.
Sure. This is Amy Vasella, Director of the Library.
So normally I don't go over every single statistic with the commission, but since we have such a large audience, I kind of like to let everyone know what we're doing here. So for circulation, we have a total circulation of 7,147 items for the month of March. Our door count was 16,062 people came in the library during the month of March. We had 5,019 total website visits, 1,615 constant contact subscribers, 284 reference questions, 51 one-on-one tech help, 503 computer use, 1,156 impressions on Instagram over 13 posts. For Facebook, we had 2,899. Historical room usage was 7 in-person and 1 virtual, and we had 12 museum pass checkouts. For programming, adult programs, we had 26 programs that were attended by 214 people. We had no teen programs for the month of March. We had 13 children's programs with a total attendance of 314. We had 6 multi-age programs for a total attendance of 238. For personnel, Pinky returned from her leave of absence on March 31st. We are very delighted and happy to have her back. I met with Liz, who's sitting over here, to conduct her 90-day Establish, Develop, Reflect EDR performance review. During this first meeting, we established some goals for the following year. We're currently interviewing for the open clerk position. We had 1 round of interviews last week, and we have another round tomorrow, so hopefully we'll have that filled soon. For facility updates, the wood flooring in front of the elevator on the main floor was deep cleaned. And Izzy took on the backbreaking task of cleaning the grout in our bathrooms. The tile floors never looked better. It's made a huge difference. For funding sources, we had the Friends of the Library meeting on March 10th. They agreed to fund the Kids Poetry Contest, the Earth Day program, the Summer Reading program, the Suffield Players, and the Seed Library program. On 3/17/25, I had my budget review with the Board of Finance at 7 p.m. The commission members Claire Kowalik, Denise Booten, Joe Craven, and Jim Irwin attended the meeting in support. No vote was taken on my proposed budget at that time. March 27th, the Suffield Public Library Foundation met in person at 7 p.m. Members voted to approve an additional 1/3 of funding towards the atrium project cost overage, if any happened, provided the commission and the town contribute the remaining 2/3 of the overage costs. Other updates, the IT department replaced 5 of our staff computers. Our seed library program was extremely popular. We gave out 460 seed packets, so people were rushing in to get seeds to start their growing. Holly's planning on having it again next year, so I'm very excited about that. And we also now have a participation waiver release of liability form for some of our library programs. I used the Parks and Recreation Department's waiver as a template, modifying it to meet the needs of the library. It was then reviewed and edited by town council. This form will become part of the registration form for future programs. Upcoming items of note, the eggs for the chick hatching program have arrived. I spoke with Becky in IT about the live stream and plan to have it up and running as the hatch date gets a little bit closer. So if you haven't been in the library for a while, I urge you to come in and check out the incubator because they're sitting pretty in there waiting to hatch. The annual Kids Poetry Writing Contest is accepting submissions from April 1st to 17th. The Suffield Players will be returning on April 15th at 6:30 p.m. And baseball trivia, led by Carl Cicito, will take place on April 26th at 1 p.m. And that's all for my report.
Thank you, Amy.
You're welcome.
Christine?
Do you have any questions or observations?
Christine, this is Claire Kowalik. I just would like Amy to address the significant, to me, decrease in the total digital circulation from February to March.
I do not know why there was a decrease in digital circulation. We haven't changed our limits for digital items at all over the previous months, so I don't have an answer as to why that number is so much lower than the previous month.
Oh, okay. I was under the impression you had changed.
I did, but it was about 4 months ago.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Anyone else?
I also have a question for you, Amy, if you don't mind.
Yep.
Since the new policy had been posted on the town website, had there been an increase in incident reports in this time frame between now and then?
Yep, there have. So since I wasn't included in the drafting of the proposed policy or even given an opportunity to act as an advisor, they came as a surprise to myself and the staff. So we were kind of unprepared for the immediate fallout that would happen when they went public. So we've experienced an increase in confrontational interactions and voicemails with individuals who are not only from our community, but other communities as well. We had one incident where a patron came in and was yelling at staff about the garbage books that we have. He got close enough to staff that one of my staff members got spittle on them from his yelling. We've had several voicemails from concerned members of the LGBTQIA+ community about any proposed modifying of having books where they're located or banning books or anything like that. So I now have staff filling out incident reports for any sort of confrontational interactions. As you can imagine, these negative interactions are greatly impacting the morale of the staff here at the library. The staff are dedicated, hardworking, and educated professionals, and repeatedly having your professional integrity and competence called into question is upsetting and stressful for that end. So to that end, I've adopted a zero tolerance policy for anyone being abusive or treating the staff in a manner that's less than courteous. If anyone has any questions about our collection development practices, please feel free to ask us. The library staff is always happy to talk to community members about how we acquire our books and what our criteria are for acquiring them. We're a pretty helpful group, and we'd be delighted to talk to you in a calm and civilized manner. That's all we ask.
This is Commissioner Irwin again. So you're actually getting that kind of negative feedback from both sides of the equation here. You've got people that are violently opposed and people that are apparently violently in favor.
Yes,
I think
both sides of the coin.
Yeah, I think that we as a commission need to realize that these are the real world consequences of putting policies like that out there. We need to let our librarians run the library, and it's a job that they are trained to do, and we are not. Just because I ride in an airplane doesn't mean I know how to fly one. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Irwin. If you could please raise your hand if you would like to speak. I'm going to recognize Nina Kendrick. She's been patiently waiting here with her hand raised.
Thank you, Christine. Amy, I did have a question. If you could just clarify that in your director's report, it says that the Suffield players will be returning on April 15th. Can you confirm that they will be performing a stage reading of a play entitled Sex with Strangers?
Yes, they are.
Okay, and according to the Suffield Players Facebook page, it says it's brought to the library by the Suffield Players and the Friends of the Kent Memorial Library. Does that mean the Friends are funding this?
The Friends do fund when the Suffield Players come. However, the staff plans it out and asks the Friends if they will support it. So the Friends do not propose the program or what the Suffield Players are doing. The staff plans the event with the Suffield Players. The Suffield Players usually tell us what they want to do, and then we go to the Friends and ask them for funding.
So the staff requested this play and then the Friends agreed to fund it, is that
The
correct?
staff did not request that specific play. The Suffield players say, we're doing a reading of this, you know, will you have it, sure. And then we go to the Friends and ask them to fund it.
Thank you. I'm also wondering if there are posters promoting this event on display at the library currently.
I haven't seen any yet, but I was on vacation and just got back this afternoon. So I would be happy to take a tour around the library and email everyone and let you know.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Amy, just a follow-up question. This is Christine Sinopoli.
Yep.
Did the Suffield players,
Hey,
did the Friends of the Library or the librarians, how did it work? Was there a reading for the previous play, A Few Good Men?
The last, I think Kimberly Akimbo was maybe the last reading. I have to look back at my notes. I don't have them in front of me at the moment.
I didn't catch that show, so I don't know how long ago that one was.
It was very recent. You remember?
Yeah, it was either January or February.
Yeah, January or February. It was over the winter.
Thank you. So, Ben, I'd like to call on you next, please.
Akimbo was February.
All right.
So it's
Kimberly Akimbo was February.
September, February, and April.
All right, September, February, and April are when I run them.
Yeah, and they don't do the play that they're currently doing at the. They use this to test out other plays.
Okay.
Excuse me, who's speaking? Can you identify yourself?
This is Holly.
Hi.
Holly's our liaison for the Suffield
I liaise
players.
with the Suffield players, so I was just giving some info.
Oh, okay, could you repeat that? Because it didn't quite come through.
Yep. So the Suffield players do a table reading here 3 times a year. This is a traditional thing that was done here many years ago. During COVID and when we were shut down, they transferred over to doing it at the senior center, and then last year returned back here to doing their table readings at Kent Memorial Library. I coordinate with them. I organize, with them. They come in 3 times a year. It's not for them to do a table reading of the play that they're currently doing at the Playhouse. What they do is they do table readings of plays to get, they kind of survey the audience to get a reaction. Is this something we should be doing? Is this something you'd like to see us doing at the Playhouse? So they'll be doing that 3 times a year, September, January or February, and then April. And we do not pick the plays, we do not have any say over what play they are doing. They let us know which play they are doing. And the Friends, help to fund, and, we provide some refreshments for intermission, snacks, water bottles, things like that.
Thank you so much for those clarifications.
And there is one flyer for it on the adult programs board.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Corbin?
Yes, Amy, I would just, because we're probably going to be having a lot of discussions and attention with all the things going on, could you include in the director's report, incident reports, just so that we're aware and it's recorded for us what's going on, if it's getting better, if it's getting worse, that sort of thing. I think it'll just be easier to track if we have it written down.
Sure, I'd be happy to.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Are there any other questions with respect to the director's report?
This is Despina Pertsinis, Commissioner. I just have one comment. Amy, you did a great job with this report, but with regard to the Library Foundation increasing funding, I am a member of the Library Foundation and was at that meeting. I believe there was a caveat of a 10% or 15% overage on the estimates that we've received. So I just wanted to clarify, not that you did anything wrong in your report, but just simply wanted to clarify that there was that caveat when the foundation authorized the increase. I'll have to look back at my notes, I don't have them in front of me. But it was either a 10 or 15% increase, I believe. But of course, we can always clarify at the next meeting if we need to.
I can amend the report and send it out.
I'm okay with it as written. I just wanted to make it known, if it's noted in our minutes, that's completely fine. Thank you.
This is Commissioner Sinopoli. I just want to say that I really love the seed program. I saw in the Suffield Observer your article that you wrote about, check out our seeds, all about the seed library and getting some enthusiasm started for that because we've all been patiently waiting for spring. So thank you for that article.
Hey.
So now we'll move along to report of the standing committees. And the first committee report is from Corbin on the building and grounds. So I guess we could talk more about what Commissioner Tertsinis just spoke about. So I'll turn it over to you, Corbin.
I have nothing to report. We are waiting for Board of Finance to approve, I think, our library budget and the atrium. So until the town approved, there's nothing to report.
So Amy, do you know if the quote, has the amount changed?
No, the quote is the same, so I won't know final figures until it goes out to bid.
Okay, I guess we'll have to cross that bridge when we get there. Do any other commissioners have questions? Okay, we'll move along to community relations. So Bob, would you like to report?
Please, Bob Parks. We met, the subcommittee met on March 6th. Consists of Denise Booten and Despina. The commission also I reached out to Wendy Taylor, just in casual conversation about past things that the commission subcommittee had done to generate public relations, community relations. And at our meeting on March 6th, we were joined by Amy and Holly Garrity with some interesting input. We talked about what had been done in the past, what we could do in the future. Up until COVID, I guess KML had a booth on the green during Suffield on the Green, and that sort of went by the wayside and hasn't been reinstituted. There are some other things that we could possibly do as we go along, but we thought for benefit of expediting and the time we have left and the approvals we may need from the commission prior to the summer break, that we would concentrate on the Suffield on the Green booth. And Wendy has some valuable input from that, giveaways, some ideas what we could do, placement and things like that. What I would like to do is propose a motion. We need to get our hat in the ring quickly for a place on the green because they go quickly. A booth that would accommodate the current tent or canopy that the library has would cost $65 for the weekend. We won't need electricity, so we don't have to pay any additional fees, just the $65 right now. There will be money required later on, but I don't have a number on that yet. We haven't finalized whether we want to do giveaways, bookmarks, rubber duckies, or whatever. So I don't have a number for what the final number would be, but if we don't get our hat in the ring for the space on the green, we run the risk of not getting a place or getting a place down by the toilets. So anyway, I would like to make a motion that we approve spending $65 to secure a booth on the green with the understanding that there will be additional funds required to make a presentation at the booth.
So let's have a discussion. Thank you, Bob.
Sure.
This is Nina Kendrick.
Well, first we have to discussion though. Is there a second?
This is Nina Kendrick. I'll second that motion.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Oh,
Aye.
no, I'm sorry.
Aye.
We have to have the discussion first.
Okay.
I just wanted to say, Bob, thank you, and the other members of the Community Relations Committee for catching this, that we need to secure the booth. I think it's a great idea to have a booth, and how do the other commissioners see this? Does everyone agree?
This is Corbin. I think it's great. We should do the booth and go ahead and secure it.
Michael?
Mike Alexopoulos. I just want you to know I've been involved in the booth for a number of years prior to us stopping it, you know, during COVID or whatever. And it was always a great experience and gave us an opportunity to get new card holders as well. Hopefully we can work that into it.
Do I hear a volunteer for the booth, Michael?
Well, unfortunately, I man the soda booth for the Knights of Columbus the entire weekend, but I might be able to slip over.
Okay.
Would anyone else like to make a statement? Bob, would you like to restate your motion?
I'd like to move that we secure the booth at a cost of $65.
I second the motion. Yambarachi?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Is anyone? Sorry, is anyone opposed? Okay, the motion carries. Okay, next we are moving on to finance. Joe Craven, do you have anything to report?
Can you hear me, Christine?
Yes.
Good. I was having some audio trouble earlier, but I got it figured out. Yeah, I did contact the IRS this week in regards to a EIN form that we need in order to have me placed as signer at the bank. And Claire and I are just working on getting some information at the bank before we can get that. And that's it. That's all to report. I don't know if there's anything else, Claire.
Thank you for keeping us updated. Claire, did you have a comment?
I do. I just wanted to include the fact that Joe, myself, met with Mandy Moore, the town finance director, and Chris Childs from the Board of Finance following the budget meeting to help explain some of the funding to Mandy, so that when she does her yearly reconciliation, she has a better understanding.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank you very much for doing that. Okay, next we'll move on to historical. Denise, do you have anything to report?
Nothing to report.
Okay, next is personnel.
Nothing
Nina?
to report. This is Nina Kendrick. Nothing to report.
Okay. And then policy is myself, Christine Sinopoli. As I mentioned earlier, the meeting on 3/20/25 for the policy subcommittee was canceled due to overcapacity issues and safety issues. Another meeting has not been scheduled as of yet. Next, Jim, I see your hand.
Yes, this is Commissioner Jim Irwin. Regarding the policy committee, I've heard that that the library employees, the staff, have been informed that that the policy is being rewritten. And as a member of the policy committee, I was wondering if I was going to be part of that rewriting policy, or whether it was going to go the same way it did last time.
Well, I can't confirm that. I don't know who told librarians anything.
All right.
We're focusing on the current business, and there is no meeting scheduled as of yet.
Okay, all right. I understand what you're telling me, but Michael already pointed out earlier that that apparently the last policy was written over a 3-day period. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim.
Thank
We'll move on to section 7,
Oh,
unfinished business.
I'm not sure if you could see my hand.
I'm sorry. Please go ahead.
I'm sorry, yes, still under the policy subcommittee. I would just like to state a few things. I do thank everyone that spoke this evening during the public comment. And I do thank all our commissioners for being present, and especially my fellow commissioners who are present here at the Senior Center and happily showing their faces here today. I'm not afraid to face my neighbors and the fellow residents of Suffield. I happily attend our meetings, and I'm happy to address any concerns of our community and constituents. I want it known that I am a member of the policy subcommittee. We do have policies in place, and I encourage people to read those policies. We also have a procedure for reviewing and revising existing policies, and that is outlined in our bylaws, and that is tasked to the policy subcommittee, of which I'm a part of. Unfortunately, in the process of drafting the policies that were presented with an agenda for the 3/20/2025 meeting, I was not a part of that. I guess I should say, fortunately, I was not a part of that, because I would never endorse anything in that form. But unfortunately, our chair, as well as who's also the chair of our policy subcommittee, did not follow our bylaws when she held secret meetings to push forward her personal agenda and draft those policies. I think they're legally indefensible policies, and I state this as an attorney, a Connecticut licensed attorney, and a practicing attorney of 27 years. And if anyone tells any one of you here, either in the Senior Center, on Zoom, or the general public, that they are defensible, they're wrong. I am opposed to the proposed funding and terms of independence policy. We have current policies outlined in our town charter regarding funding, our ordinances, and our Kent Memorial Library policies. In order to review and revise, I think the policy subcommittee should collaborate with one another and thoughtfully prepare any revisions. I think anyone assuming the role, whether secretly or otherwise, and enlisting non-commissioned members to draft policies is abusing their powers of this commission. The proposed youth collection, acquisition, and retention policy unfortunately reads like a poorly written legal brief. The general policies are generally defined as a course or method of action selected from among alternatives and in light of given conditions. They're supposed to guide and determine present and future decisions. They're supposed to be fluid, not a knee-jerk reaction, and policies should be clear and concise. And I say this not only as a commission member, having assisted with revisions of policies over the past couple of years as part of my 5-year involvement as a commissioner on the KMLC, but also as an attorney, a practicing attorney who guides clients in formulating policies for running their businesses or legal entities, including nonprofits. The proposed policy was content specific, and I believe we've received materials and communications which state and accurately state that content specific policies are discriminatory. Unfortunately, the policies appear to target books addressing gender identity, LGBTQI+ issues, as well as transgender content. This has the potential of appearing discriminatory, even if the intent is allegedly non-discriminatory. It is blatantly discriminatory. Of the books that were stated in that youth collection policy, I believe KML has 3 of them. 1 in the young adult section and 2 in the adult collection. I did consult with our library director to receive some feedback, and I request the opportunity to meet with her again and collaborate with my fellow commissioners in addressing concerns that she realistically has for our library when it comes to creating or revising policies. At the time I spoke with Amy, our library director, she stated her present policy concerns were 1, a photography and filming policy, 2, a material gifts policy, 3, an inclement weather and emergency policy, and 4, a security camera policy. Nowhere in there were there concerns about youth collection or funding and content. Even if there are concerns about that, whether by our fellow commissioners or the public, again, there is a process for addressing these concerns. And unfortunately, that process has been bypassed and the role of creating policies hijacked by a few members of this commission. I would like the opportunity to research the actual concerns of our library director and the staff regarding the existing policies and requested revisions, as well as our library patron concerns. I'd like the opportunity to collaborate with my fellow subcommittee members to draft thoughtful and relevant policy changes if needed. I did take notes during the public comment, and I did note that there was approximately, I'm gonna refer back to my notes, 66 speakers. 62 were opposed to the policies as drafted and presented with the agenda of 320, and only 4 in favor. I know we like to look at facts and opinions, and I think overwhelmingly this evening, whether they were town residents or not, I did actually note who was not a town resident, and I think similarly there's less than 10% of the individuals who spoke that were not town residents. I think we should hear from our residents, meet in person when we do hold a policy subcommittee meeting, preferably in the library, but if more people want to attend, I'm happy to coordinate, if our chair cannot, a location, whether at the middle school auditorium or the high school auditorium or a similar facility. This facility here at the senior center is wonderful and does hold a number of people, and I would love the opportunity to actually have a subcommittee meeting with my fellow policy creators, as well as the opportunity for the full commission to attend if they so wish, along with the public. Thank you.
Thank you, Despina. It's noted that you have been taking upon yourself some of the responsibilities of the subcommittee, policy subcommittee chair. I just realized that I forgot to ask for the technology report from Joe. Joe, do you have anything to report?
No, nothing to report at this time.
Next is unfinished business. We don't have anything under unfinished business.
Excuse me?
Jim?
Yes, Commissioner Jim Irwin. We do in fact have unfinished business. I recall tabling and requesting that you distribute to the commission the Association of Connecticut Library Boards newsletter and their invitation to us to actually join their organization. I took the time, and I hope my fellow commission members also took the time to read through that. And they describe very interestingly that the library director, board of trustees, and friends organization form a kind of three-legged stool in which each leg has its part to play to ensure the smooth running of the library. I thank you, Christine, for getting this information out to us so that we could all review it. And I note that the job that they do and the way that they describe what all of the other members of this group, which is most of the library boards in Connecticut, they talk about the way that this whole thing hangs together, and it's very commonly done this way in the state. And I believe, as Mr. Gacy and Sarah Fields pointed out during their public comments, that as a library commission, as a group, we are comparatively inexperienced. And I think a membership in the Association of Connecticut Library Boards newsletter would be a worthwhile thing for us to not only actively consider, but we can all, the entire commission can become a member of this organization for $100, or we can do it as individuals at $35 a person, which by my thumbnail math here says that we would save about $320 if we just joined it as the library board. And I would actually like to so move.
So we could put it on the agenda for the meeting next month. Or we could take a vote
I believe that if I tabled it at the last meeting, it has to be dealt with at this meeting, or it will essentially be pocket vetoed. Is that not correct?
Would you like to make a motion, Jim?
Yes, I would. I would move that we invest $100 to learn a little bit more about how we're supposed to do library commissioning.
Do I hear a second?
Nobody? Come on, seriously. This is Julie Bodner, and I second. Thank God.
All those in favor?
They're all asleep or something.
Is there any?
Oh, I'm sorry.
For discussion?
Yes, thank you. Discussion. Corbin, I see your hand raised.
Hi, I was late to the last meeting. I have completely missed it. I would prefer to review it and discuss it at the next meeting, our next regular commission meeting in May.
So, this is Commissioner Irwin. Does that mean you are wanting to table it again? I don't think that that's kosher, is it?
No.
I don't know, this is Commissioner Ejike again. I don't know that it's kosher or not, but if we're discussing, my point of discussion is that I missed it. I came in late to that meeting, and that topic had already finished, and with all the other emails, like, I just completely missed it and looked over this, so I'm not prepared to make a decision on this tonight.
So don't vote.
I'm just bringing it up as part of discussion.
So I believe this is Christine Sinopoli. The motion is already on the table, and you can abstain, you can vote yes, or you could vote no.
Thank you.
So,
Abstain.
I understand that. I thought we were having a discussion, so I'm discussing my issues with this tonight. That's all. I will be abstaining from the vote.
Thank you.
Okay. You know, if we have to go to the vote.
If we have to. Oh, God.
is there any other discussion?
My hand is in the air, Christine. Bob Parks.
Oh, I'm sorry, Bob. Please
No,
go.
that's okay. I wasn't at the other meeting. I was out of town. And from some of the comments I've heard tonight, if it goes to a vote tonight, I will vote against it. If I have a chance to more thoroughly review what you're proposing, it's conceivable I could change my vote or vote for it. But if it goes to a vote tonight, I'm going to vote against it.
Thank you. Jim?
Yes, Bob, I would like to point out that you probably received this document as we all did following that meeting. And I appreciate the fact that you haven't read it yet, but it seems to me to be a fairly straightforward and reasonable expenditure of $100. And I would go so far as to suggest that the alternative will probably be me spending $35 of my own money and then boring you at length while I read to you the things that are in this particular newsletter, because I think it would do us a lot of good to know it. Thank you.
Would any other commissioners like to make a comment? I don't see any hands up. So I'll call for a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 So we have Jim, Erwin, Claire Kowalik, Despina Tartsinis, Michael Alexopoulos, and Julie Bodnar. Anyone else? Are there any abstentions? There's Corbin, myself, I'm abstaining. And Bob, I'll call on you. You're abstaining?
No, I'm voting no.
I'm sorry, voting no.
Voting no.
Nina?
No.
And Denise? And Joe?
No.
The motion does not carry. Okay, moving on to public participation.
Was that not 5-4?
Yeah, was that not 5-4? Can you please repeat the votes for clarity? This is Despina Tartson is just requesting that you repeat the vote count.
Okay, I heard Jim was in favor, Jim Irwin. Claire Kowalik was in favor. Despina Tartsinis was in favor. Michael Alexopoulos was in favor. And Julie Bodnar was in favor. Corbin was an abstention. Christine Sinopoli was an abstention. Bob, Nina, Denise, and Joe were all no votes. Did I get that correct? That's what I thought I heard.
That's what I heard as well.
Christine?
Who's this, please?
This is
Oh.
Ann Barachi.
Ann Barachi, I'm sorry, I forgot you, Ann.
That was a no.
Okay, and Ann Barachi was a no. So does everyone have the
It's a tie
information?
vote.
Yes, so it doesn't carry.
If it's a tie vote, doesn't somebody? No.
So then it just gets no more.
Table again.
I'll change my vote to a no vote.
You can't do that.
You can't do that.
Do that, you already voted, you drip.
She can change her vote, but it doesn't matter because it failed.
It failed, it failed.
So why don't you change it to no now?
Oh,
I've seen you just change the debates.
We'll move on to public participation. Again, public comment is set at the discretion of the chair. We will observe the people.
I'm sorry, Christine, to interrupt you, but we did skip over new business. I'm assuming there's none, but I'd like to at least have you verify that, please. Thank you.
I apologize, I thought that I had said new business. Is there anyone that would like to make a comment? Okay, moving along, since there is no new business, we're on number 9.
We do have someone, excuse me for interrupting, Christine, I'm sorry, but we do have someone raising their hand in the, just for public comment.
Okay, I'm getting to public comment. Again, we will observe the usual tradition of allowing 2 minutes per person. Please state your name and address clearly for the record. If people start to go over the 2-minute allotment, I will interrupt them and ask the speaker to quickly wrap it up, because we want to give everyone a chance to speak. So thank you for your cooperation. And at the Senior Center, if the first person could please state their name and address for the record.
(995) Newgate Road.
What was the name?
United States, I'm sorry, what?
We couldn't hear your name.
Bob White.
Thank you.
In the United States, we hire airline pilots, surgeons, and yes, library directors who are specifically educated and specially trained to perform the duties of their jobs. It seems ridiculous to have those of us who are untrained in these disciplines try to tell the experts how to do their jobs.
Thank you, Mr. White. Is there anyone else at the Senior Center?
No, that was it.
Okay, so taking a look here online. I see Casey Colson. Ms. Colson, would you like to make public comment?
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
My comment is on the decision to not acquire a newsletter. I find it very ironic that a library commission would choose to not invest in a publication that might provide background on how other library commissions operate. And I just thought that was bizarre. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Colson. I see here Dr. Christina Hallett.
Dr. Hallett, Newgate Road. I'm frankly astounded that anyone as a thinking an adult would turn down any opportunity for additional education, knowledge, training, or awareness. I am truthfully shocked and appalled that there was a no vote, and it is clearly not fiscally responsible in terms of the generation of awareness and understanding of both your role and how to best serve the community.
Thank you, Dr. Hallett. And next we have Shannon Watson. Ms. Watson?
Shannon Watson, 333 Griffin Road, West Suffield. I am utterly stunned that you voted against a newsletter that would possibly educate any one of you on how to do the position you're in better. I have to, was there a pledge of ignorance taken to get into these positions, or a refusal to educate yourself on anything to do your position better? That is embarrassing. That is disgusting. You've chosen to remain as ignorant as you possibly can, yet for $100, yet instead you're going to push a policy that's going to cost taxpayers thousands of dollars to defend, and it's not defensible. The absolute ignorance is astounding. None of you are qualified to be in this position if you refuse to do that. That's insane. Don't read it, but at least don't openly show the world that you are choosing to remain uneducated and ignorant. It's embarrassing as a member of this town to see you be so blatantly bigoted against any form of education. And you have no shame in it. It's disgusting.
Thank you, Ms. Watson. Next we have Christina Lang.
Fucking cunt bag. You're proud of their ignorance.
Please
You're
mute this
proud
person.
that
They're using profanity.
I think you may have accidentally unmuted me. I think you called someone named Christina.
Yes, Christina Lang was next.
All right, now do you hear me? Do you hear me?
We can hear you, Ms. Lang. Go ahead.
That's great, thank you. Chris Lang, 90 South Road, Enfield, Connecticut, and I have one question. If someone like me were to offer your board or commission $100 for that newsletter, would you take it and would you read it? That's it, as I'm offering. And if you don't want to look like idiots, you'll take it. Get back to me if you want it. I'm done.
Thank you, Ms. Lang. Mr. Hall was next. I saw that he had his hand raised.
Okay, sorry, I couldn't unmute myself. Hi, Ed Hall, 53 Robbins Road, Berlin, Connecticut. Again, I just want to kind of speak in a way towards everyone attending the meeting tonight. If you're still on, certainly remember, the actions of this committee, and certainly remember that there are going to be future meetings. I know there's a lot of publicity on this right now. Don't let your attention on this wane. They're potentially going to consider this policy again in the future, and I'll be here. I hope you all attend as well. I really think this is something that everyone keeping their eye on it is absolutely necessary continuing into the future, and I really ask everyone on this Zoom tonight to continue to show up. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hall. Next, we have Ms. Perryman.
Hi, this is B. Ray Perryman, the Director of Communications of the ACLU of Connecticut. Once again, wanted to thank you all for allowing so much public comment and thank the member of the policy subcommittee that offered to collaborate and work with the public and the committee to find public accommodation that really works for folks. That is a really wonderful example of good governance, and I'm grateful to hear that this late in the evening. Nice to know, and just want to formally, we're your ACLU. We provide technical assistance on policy, and we are happy to help if there's any need if there's questions about permitting or fire code or anything that we can do to help encourage really healthy, positive civic behavior. We really are glad to see that tonight, and really we saw the best of Suffield tonight, and I just wanted to echo that, and really grateful to be part of this community here in Connecticut, and excited to see what's next. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, Ms. Perryman. Next, we have Kim Friedman.
Hello?
Hello?
Hello? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi. I just wanted to say I'm really baffled why we would reject getting a newsletter for $100, but Bob can talk about getting rubber duckies or whatever for Suffield on the Green. I always felt that a thimble, even if we got a thimble full of information from this newsletter, it would be very positive in either direction. So I'm stunned by the political agenda here, and I thought there'd be a little more fairness on the commission. And the last thing I want to say is I applaud Ms. Tarsinis's, I hope that's correct, words tonight. She took the high road, she took the right road. She had a lot of transparency. She was very fair and straightforward. And I would like to thank her for her work and keep it up. And thank everybody tonight.
Yeah. The one in the middle. Yeah, she's like in the
Thank you, Ms. Friedman.
You're welcome.
Okay, we have Tom Frenet.
Hello, Tom Frenet, Warnertown Road, West Suffield. While you've been talking, I've talked to a couple of other people offline here, and I'm sure we can come up with a couple $100 from town residents to help get you guys a newsletter, even if you don't all read it. I know some of you will. So I'll have a check for the library in the next few days. So thank you very much, and I hope most of you will take note of any good advice that's in the newsletter. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, everyone. Everyone has gotten an opportunity to speak at least once. Would someone like to make a motion to adjourn?
Wait a minute, we do have a person here.
Excuse me, I'm sorry. I did, it's Fred Schweitzer, and I did ask here for the opportunity to speak very briefly. Is that okay?
Are you at the senior center?
I am, yes.
Okay, go ahead, Fred.
Okay, I'll be quick. Fred Schweitzer, 165 South Stone Street. With regard to this last conversation, I come to these meetings a lot. I come to them with strong opinions that I'm not shy about expressing. I also try to come to them with an open mind and to listen to other points of view. It's very hard for me, and when someone is in favor of something and speaks about that, gives a ration. I understand two people saying, I'm not going to vote for it, and then however many people spoke, and there's no discussion. So when you do that, you just create a blank page for people to project whatever they want on. And so I wish that when something is under discussion, that those of you who are opposed or on the other side of an issue will speak up and say what you're thinking. We might all learn something. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Schweitzer. Is there anyone at the senior center that would like to speak?
Yes, I'd like to make a comment. My name is Suzanne Irwin, 58 Marburn Drive. I wanted to commend Ms. Watson for speaking her mind. What you are calling profanity is allowing someone free speech. So it is wrong on your part to be censoring her in that way. Per Robert's Rules of Order, a sense of decorum is only held, the commission is the only one held to that standard. But the public has a right to express their opinions. And if that means that they use profanity or slang or whatever words they use, that is they have the right to do that. To vote against that newsletter paints you in a very negative light. The least you could do is do what I call nicey nice, vote yes, and then ignore it. Perhaps if you would read it, you would learn how to run a commission and not run it like the shit show that it has been for the past 4 years. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Irwin. Anyone else at the senior center?
No, there are no others. Thank you.
Okay, we're moving on to adjournment.
I'd like to make a motion to adjourn. It's Amber Archie.
I have my hand up, excuse me. This is Commissioner Irwin at the Senior Center, and I'm waving my arm here.
Jim?
Before we adjourn, I would like to request that the polling on the vote that has been so roundly criticized on my motion, that be called out as a polling vote in the minutes so that we know who voted for it and who did not. Thank you.
Fine, I'll start with myself. I voted no.
Amber Archie, I voted no.
Nina Kendrick, no.
Denise Booton, no.
Bob Parks, no, with a caveat, if you'll include that also. I hadn't had a chance to read it. I have no idea what this commission or what the newsletter would buy us. I don't buy into organizations I'm not familiar with. It was as simple as that. But if you forced it into a vote, I voted no.
Mr. Craven?
I
Commissioner Craven?
I voted no. And may I comment, Christine?
Sure.
I feel that there's been a lot of talk about having everyone be able to participate in this meeting, for everybody's voice to be heard. And the fact that this had to be voted on today with two of our commission members, not really being able to research this and study this, I don't know, it makes me feel uncomfortable that there were a lot of people in town that were clamoring about having everyone participate, yet this vote would go and we're not allowing two of our members to actually read it.
I want to say something. Can I say something?
Thank you for your comments. We'll move on to the senior center. Jim, your vote, please.
I vote in favor of my resolution my motion to join the Association of Connecticut Libraries.
Claire?
Boards.
I vote yes.
Despina Tartsenis?
I had voted yes. And I would like to state, just like the other, Christine, if I may?
Yes, please.
To our chair, yeah. I would like to note that Commissioner Irwin did table this. We did receive the newsletter. I understand everyone has very busy schedules, but when this is something that was tabled, included in our minutes, and then distributed as a communication, I would hope in the future that we would actually pay attention to that so that we can make an informed decision at subsequent meetings. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes.
Michael Alexopoulos?
Yes, this is Michael Alexopoulos, and I voted yes.
And Julie Bodner?
Yes.
And Corbin Zigray?
I abstain.
So as far as the math that I'm doing, the motion does not carry. Does anyone dispute that? Okay, the motion does not carry. We've reconfirmed that. Would anyone like to make the motion to adjourn?
I'd like to move to adjourn. Zambaracci.
Do I have a second?
Second, Bob Parks.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? Okay, and the meeting is ending. I have 10:16. Good evening.
Vote on the manifesto.
Good night, all.